Chapter 1002. In the vast sky, a few people were flying at high speed. These people were Shen Wu Huang, Su Shintian, and the others who had left the great Ling Long Palace. Shen Shueshua's face was still covered in tears, her face was extremely haggard, she leaned on Su Shintian's back, flying a little unsteadily, like a fledgling that could fall at any time. Su Shintian was also sighing again and again. His mind was in a mess. Shen Wu Huang, who was at the side, was still talking to Hu Qing. Hu Qing had originally planned to stay in the great Ling Long Palace for a while before leaving, but he did not expect Kuei Yang to be killed by Su Yun, which was out of everyone's expectations. Helpless, Hu Qing could only follow Shen Wu Huang and leave in a hurry, to avoid suffering. Hu Qing was quite popular in the immortal world. Not only did he befriend Shen Wu Huang, his relationship with Kuei Yang was also not shallow. Kuei Yang's tragic death made him feel more or less uncomfortable in his heart. But now that things had come to this, he could not say anything, nor would he blame Shen Wu Huang. After all, the person who killed Kuei Yang was not Shen Wu Huang. Martial Monarch, did you guys break off your relationship with that person? Speaking of which, where do you plan to go next? Hu Qing took a deep breath and asked. Let's return to the ultimate martial world. Shen Wu Huang said solemnly. There are too many tyrants in the immortal world, we are weak and are not suitable to cultivate here. Little bro, it's easy to leave the immortal world, but it's hard to enter the immortal world. According to what I know, some abnormalities have occurred at the entrance of the immortal world. Right now, it's difficult to even enter and exit. If you guys want to leave the immortal world at this moment, I'm afraid it won't be easy. Hu Qing said. Abnormality? Shen Wu Huang was startled. What abnormality? I'm not sure about the specifics, but according to the information I received, a large number of people from the immortal court have gathered at the entrance to the immortal realm. There seems to be a war going on there, and it would be unwise for you to leave at this time. Hu Qing said. Shen Wu Huang was silent. Brother, the immortal world is so big, how can there not be a place for you to stay? As the saying goes, people strive for higher places, while water flows downward. How many people in the ultimate martial world yearn to enter the immortal world day and night, but you have to leave the immortal world, don't you think it's a pity? Although my cultivation level isn't high, I still have some influence in the immortal world. How about this, you follow me back to my small sect? Although it's a little small, it's still complete. Even if it could not compare to the Dali Ling Long Palace, it was still stronger than any sect in the ultimate martial world, right? How about I lead you into the immortal sect and set foot on the immortal Tao? Hu Qing advised. Hearing that, Shen Wu Huang was startled. She immediately said, Brother, how can I do this? Why not? Hu Qing laughed heartily. Previously, I did not bring you into my sect because I hoped that you would be able to develop on a bigger and better platform like the Dali Ling Long Palace. Now, it seems that I was wrong. Follow me back. Don't decline. Hu Qing invited him one after another. Shen Wu Huang still wanted to say something, but it was not appropriate for him to maintain his face at this time, so he nodded his head and agreed. Then, he bowed to Hu Qing with his hands clasped in front. This kindness, this foolish brother will remember it in his heart. You're too polite. Hu Qing laughed. After deciding on their next destination, Shen Wu Huang planned to bring everyone and Hu Qing back to his sect. But just then, Shen Shueshue suddenly spoke up. Father, wait a moment. What is it? Shen Wu Huang turned his head to look at Shen Shueshue. He saw that the tears in Shen Shueshue's eyes were still falling, and he felt more and more sad. She wiped away the tears from the corner of her eyes, her voice was hoarse as she sobbed. I want to make a trip to the Supreme Sect, Supreme Sect. Shen Wu Huang was startled. Su Shintian lowered his head and said in a low voice, Snow wants to see Lulu one last time. Shen Wu Huang's mood that had just improved a little became heavy again. The great Ling Long Palace had been captured, No one knew what the current situation was, but one thing was clear: Ling Long Kai was definitely in Su Yun's hands. But now that the relationship between everyone and Su Yun had become strained, would Su Yun still use Ling Long Kai to save this girl who had nothing to do with him? Just by looking at Su Yun's attitude and performance towards these people, perhaps? Not at all. And without Ling Long Kai's help, Su Luluo could only die. Shin Shueshua's liver and intestines were broken, her heart was broken. If it was anyone else, even if she had to kneel in front of that person and beg him to use Ling Long Kai to save Su Luluo, she would be willing, but Su Yun, she didn't dare. She owed him too much. She felt that she didn't have the face to ask or even beg Su Yun to save Su Luluo. In just a few short days, she had lost her children one after another. As a mother, these few days were even crueler than hell for her. When she thought about how Su Luluo was about to be corroded by the limitless profound qi, she felt like she was about to faint. Everyone's hearts were heavy, and the atmosphere changed a little. Hu Qing did not say anything, and only looked at Shen Wu Huang. After a long time, "Let's go take a look." Shen Wu Huang turned his old face away and spoke in a deep voice. His once radiant face was now like an ordinary old man's. Wrinkles covered his forehead, and his face was covered with old age. No one objected. Xiao Chua, who was behind them, only followed them obediently. Everyone made their decision, and immediately changed their route, heading towards the Supreme Sect. Their speed was not considered fast, but it was extremely heavy. Su Shintian still remembered what Su Yun had said to him back then. If he were to calculate from the time back then until today, Su Luluo did not have much time left, probably not even 2 days left. If they were to go over now, they would be able to meet Su Luluo for the last time, and as for saving Su Luluo, it was already impossible, not to mention that there was no way, there was not even time. At this time, if they wanted to save Su Luluo, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for them. Shen Shueshue could not hold on any longer on the road. Sometimes she fainted, sometimes she was awake, her spirit was already close to her limit. Su Shintian was extremely nervous as he accompanied her by her side, constantly comforting her. Seeing his own daughter in such a state, Shen Wu Huang was not in a good mood, but he had no other choice. Hu Qing could only think of ways to say some good words to ease the heavy atmosphere, but it did not have too obvious of an effect. Xiao Chua had been silent the entire time. She looked at everyone like an outsider. Towards her, Shen Wu Huang did not care. After all, her personality was like that. Very quickly, the group of people approached the Supreme Sect. This newly born immortal sect was not like an ordinary small immortal sect. Although the sect was small, it was full of vitality. The current Supreme Sect could be described as lifeless and struggling at death's door. Its door was completely open, but not a single person could be seen inside or outside. The sect seemed to have been abandoned. Shen Wu Huang led the group and flew in, but it was hard to see any disciples. They could only see a few corpses that had already died on the ground. Their bodies were glowing, and their skin and flesh were starting to vaporize. These people were all Supreme Sect people who died from the backlash of the limitless profound qi, and without exception, they were all immortals. Immortals who cultivated the supreme divine Tao were different from the people of the ultimate martial world who cultivated the supreme divine Tao. Immortals had strong immortal power, had extraordinary talent, and their cultivation speed was also extremely fast. However, their bodies were unable to withstand the sudden production of a large amount of limitless profound qi, causing them to suffer a backlash much faster than the people of the ultimate martial world. Seeing the corpse on the ground that was gradually vaporizing, everyone was shocked, especially Shen Shueshue, who was on the verge of collapse. It was as if she could see the future Su Luluo from these corpses. Those who fell into the Supreme Sect were all pitiful people. Who could save them? Su Shintian's expression was a little anxious. He immediately ran around, and finally, he caught hold of Su Luluo's qi, and immediately ran towards the statue in the center. On the way, they could see many disciples of the Supreme Sect sitting cross-legged on the ground, their eyes closed, devoutly cultivating. Even if someone had already died beside them, they were indifferent, as if in their hearts, they were the only ones in the world. The group of people rushed into the statue. That petite figure was standing right below the statue. Her body was still glowing, and she was motionless, as if she was also a statue. The scene of the flickering light truly frightened Su Shintian and Shin Shueshu. What is this? Hu Qing could not help but exclaim. Luluo! Shin Shueshua let out a sorrowful cry, as if she had gone mad. She rushed over and tightly hugged the girl who was standing under the statue. She buried her head in the girl's black and soft long hair, and wailed loudly. The sound of her heart breaking seemed to resound throughout the entire Supreme Sect. Su Shintian stood at his original position, staring blankly at the scene, looking at Su Luluo, whose body was glowing with light. After a long while, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. What did I, Su Shintian, do wrong? Why did the heavens do this to me? The man's voice was trembling as well. No one said a word. At this moment, the atmosphere seemed to have reached its limit. There was only the sound of crying, the sound of sighing, whiz. Suddenly, the light that enveloped Su Luluo suddenly disappeared. The statue-like young girl's body could not help but tremble for a moment, and she slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes were no longer as empty and lifeless as before, and her beautiful face was no longer like before, forever rejecting others. At this moment she was brimming with vitality, and her eyes were brimming with spirituality. Her entire person seemed to have been reborn, and was completely new. She tilted her head slightly and looked at the woman who was hugging her. Her clear and beautiful eyes were filled with doubt. Mother? Su Lulua's tender lips softly came out with such a familiar and unfamiliar word. This sound. It was as if a silver needle had fallen to the ground in a silent world. It woke everyone up. Shin Shueshua's entire body trembled. She suddenly raised her head and looked at Su Luluo in a daze. Only to see Su Luluo looking at her with eyes full of suspicion. Mother, why are you here? Luluo, you? What did you just call me? Shin Shueshua's lips trembled, her voice trembled violently, and her heart was beating even more crazily. Mother, you're my mother, so of course I'll call you mother. Su Luluo smiled slightly and said with a clear voice. With that said, she looked left and right as if she was looking for something strange. Where's Bailey? Where did he go? Chapter 1003. Bailey. Hearing these two words, Su Shintian and Shen Wu Huang's bodies trembled, their pupils dilating. Su Luluo heaved a sigh of relief, her slender hands tightly hugged Shin Shueshua, and she said softly, Mother, I have already left the Supreme Divine Tao. I will no longer believe in that demagogic evil way. From today onwards, I am no longer the holy maiden of the Supreme Sect. My name is Su Luluo, I am Mother's daughter. She said with a smile, her eyes curved into crescent moons. Shin Shueshua was stunned. She looked at the young lady in front of her in a daze, unable to believe that all of this was real. Daughter, my daughter. She extended her trembling hand to touch Su Lulua's cold and tender skin, tears pouring out of her eyes like a broken dam. Thank the heavens, I've finally returned you to me. Shin Shueshua hugged Su Luluo tightly again and wailed. How many years of anticipation, how many years of hard work, how many years of yearning, how many years of prayers. Today, it was finally over and his wish had come true. However, Su Luluo shook his head. No, mother, it's not that the heavens returned your daughter to you, it was Bailey who saved your daughter. If not for her, I might not have been able to leave the Supreme Divine Tao so easily. Bailey? Shin Shueshua was slightly startled. It's Yun'er. Su Shintian's low voice came from behind. With that said, Shin Shueshua seemed to have been petrified, her eyes wide open. Yun'er? Could it be that big brother Yun from the Su family? Su Luluo blinked his eyes and asked immediately. Although she had left the Supreme Divine Tao, she had not lost her memories. Her state of mind had already been completely purified, and was no longer blinded by the Supreme Divine Tao. Su Luluo had separated from Su Yun at a very young age, and her memories of Su Yun were limited to the occasional conversation between her parents. She knew that there was a person called Su Yun, and that this Su Yun was not related to her by blood, and the two of them were not biological siblings. Yes. Su Shintian sighed. So it's him? Su Luluo could not help but reveal a smile, and said to Su Shintian, "Hey father, where is Big Brother Yun? Although we are not blood-related siblings, he saved me this time. I have to thank him properly." He Su Shintian stammered. What happened? Su Luluo frowned. She felt that something was wrong. However, everyone lowered their heads and did not speak. This scene made Su Luluo feel that something was wrong. She looked at Shin Shueshue, who was still crying, and asked again, "Mother, where did Brother Yun go? I still remember that he was here just now. His expression seemed a little off, and why is he here?" Shin Shueshue still did not speak, and she began to sob softly. "He came to the immortal world alone just to save you." Just then, Shin Wuhuang spoke up. He then said in a deep voice, "Your father and your mother hid his identity and never told him about it. Until a few days ago, an enemy revealed his identity. Luluo, since you have recovered, that is a good thing. As for him, I can only say that we all owe him. If there's a chance in the future, I'll think of a way to return it." "Still, grandfather, what exactly happened?" Su Luluo asked, but the expression on her face had already changed slightly. Shen Wu Huang felt that something was amiss. After thinking for a moment, he still roughly explained the matters of the great Linglong Palace. After hearing Shen Wu Huang's words, Su Liulua's originally brilliant face suddenly tensed up, and his expression became serious. She retracted her smile, raised her jade hand to wipe away the tears at the corner of Shen Shueshue's eyes, then took 2 steps back, distancing herself from Shen Shueshue. This slight movement caused Shen Shueshue's heart to be shocked. The corner of Su Liulua's mouth raised into a smile once again, but it was not the joyous smile of reunion, but a bitter and helpless smile. "Father, mother, why did you hide Big Brother Yun's identity? Since we've met, why don't you just say it?" Su Luluo asked. This, Su Shintian did not know how to reply. "Luluo, although I have recovered, my memories are still there. Father, mother, let me ask you, do you want to use Big Brother Yun to save me?" Su Luluo asked again. "Luluo, don't be impudent." Shen Wu Huang felt that something was wrong with Su Luluo. Hearing that, Su Luluo took a deep breath, bowed towards Shen Wu Huang, and said softly, "Grandfather, Luluo does not have any other intentions. I just want to tell father and mother, what exactly did Big Brother Yun do?" Shen Wu Huang frowned and said, "What can we do? Didn't we all see it? There are some things that you might not know." Su Luluo bowed again, turned his head to look at Shin Shueshue, and said softly, "Mother, is that what you guys plan to do?" "Of course not." Shin Shueshue immediately replied. "Then why not just say it directly? Big Brother Yun will not hate you because of this. But now he seems to hate you," Shen Wu Huang said indifferently. "That's because the one who told him the truth was not you, but an enemy," Su Luluo retorted immediately. These words immediately made Shen Wu Huang speechless. Su Luluo suddenly knelt on the ground, lowered his head and said, "Father, mother, grandfather, Liulua's words today will definitely not distinguish between big and small, and will go against filial piety, but today, Luluo will definitely speak up for Brother Yun. Maybe you don't know, but in order to save Luluo, who knows how much Big Brother Yun has sacrificed? Although Luluo has always been in the Supreme Sect, there is still an intelligence agency in the Supreme Sect. Regarding Big Brother Yun, father, mother, Luluo knows a little about you guys. Father, Mother, all of you have been working hard to save Luluo all these years. Luluo is very grateful. Not only did you give me life, you also gave me incomparable love, but the love that Big Brother Yun gave me is no less than yours. Father, Mother, do you know why Big Brother Yun escaped into the Devil Dao and became a member of the True Devil sect? Why? Shin Shueshue's lips trembled as she asked. She did not even blink as she stared at Su Luluo. But Su Luluo slowly opened his mouth and said in a low voice, "Because of me." These three simple words were hard to believe. Devil Dao? Father, Mother, you guys should know what that is, right? Luluo doesn't know why Big Brother has the courage to make such a decision, but according to my investigation, his intervention is indeed to save me, who is in the Supreme Sect. Not only that, the destruction of the Supreme Sect was also single-handedly caused by Big Brother Yun. Although she had been immersed in the completely useless Supreme Divine Tao for so many years, everything she had seen and heard was still in her mind. She knew and understood what Su Yun had done. The battle between the Supreme Sect and the real Devil Sect is actually not that simple. Most of the reason is because Big Brother wants to save me, and this time, it's even more so. The reason he appeared in the Supreme Sect was also because he hoped to get close to me and find a way to save me. Entering the Supreme Sect alone. Father, Mother, Grandfather, do you know what this means? This was practically taking his own life as a joke. Grandfather, you just said that Big Brother led a large number of immortals to save them. If not for Big Brother Yun this time, how could Father and Mother be safe and sound? He has always treated us as family. What about us? Did we do anything? She asked again. And this last question had already caused Shin Shueshue and Su Shintian to be unable to raise their heads. That's right. What did they do now? Su Yun was able to escape into the Devil Dao for Su Luluo, and was even able to destroy the Supreme Sect for her. But now, even if he was facing an immortal, he was not afraid, because he had always been working hard, always doing his best to protect his family, even if the opponent was in existence with heavenly methods, an incomparably powerful person from the great Linglong Palace. On the other hand, after Su Luluo was kidnapped, they left the Su family, and only dragged Su Yun and Su Qinger to the Su family to take care of, and there was no more news of them, until Su Yun himself suffered a lot to find them. He treated the two of them as his biological parents, but the two of them did not truly treat him as their son. Perhaps this was a type of wishful thinking, but they did not reject the benefits that Su Yun had given them, and instead continued to absorb and ask for, think about it carefully, who was right and who was wrong. Shin Shueshue bit her lips, holding back the tears that flowed out of her eyes, her entire body trembling. Sigh. Luluo, I know that all these years, Yunner has done a lot for you and for us, but things have already come to this, and there's no turning back. Yunner already doesn't plan to forgive us. What do you want us to do? Luluo, actually, Mother also hopes to be able to be happy with Yunner. It's just that Mother really doesn't know what to do. When you were trapped in the Supreme Sect, Mother spent all of her energy on how to save you, so she might have ignored Yunner's feelings, but you have to know, Mother truly loves you. I love Yunner, Shin Shueshue said with a sobbing tone. She was very worried that because of this, her daughter would hate her. I know, Su Luluo slowly closed her eyes, hugging Shin Shueshue, who was almost unable to stand, and was about to collapse on the ground. Her sparkling and translucent mouth slightly raised, as though she was smiling, but also as though she was comforting Shin Shueshue, and then she said softly, "The reason why I said all this is not because I have any other meaning. I know everything that Father and Mother have done for me, but I want to speak up for Big Brother Yun. I do not want him to waste all of his hard work, regardless of whether Father or Mother admits to everything he has done. It is not important, at least Luluo will admit that in Liulua's heart, he will always be Liulua's big brother." Her voice was clear and filled with resolution, and no one knew what she was thinking. Shen Xueshue and Su Shintian looked at her in astonishment, but the two of them opened their mouths, and chose to remain silent in the end. Chapter 1004. After using the exquisite Kai to purify Su Liulua's state of mind, she had already completely separated herself from the supreme divine Tao, and was no longer bewitched by the illusory divine Tao. Not only that, even her temperament had been refined, and the current Su Liulua's cultivation might not be the strongest, but her state of mind was probably much stronger than ordinary immortals, and this was the benefit of the exquisite Kai. After using the exquisite Kai this time, it had consumed a lot of origin power, and could not be used again for a few days, so Su Yun could not pry into its performance even if he wanted to. But at that moment, Su Yun did not care about exquisite Kai, because he had not escaped from the matters of Su Shintian, Shen Xueshue and the others. He had originally thought that after finding his parents, he would no longer be alone. However, he never thought that he would still be an orphan, and his parents had long since died. He didn't even know what his parents looked like. The ups and downs of the world were too sudden, making it hard for people to adapt to it. After returning to the immortal-seeking sect, Su Yun locked himself in the cultivation grounds alone. At the moment, he did not have any mood to cultivate, and his messy thoughts made him feel a little abnormal. Then, what should I do now? Those people have nothing to do with me, there is no need to continue. Was everything just a scam? What was the point of living in this life? What have I been insisting on all these years? Have I been right all these years? Or was it wrong? These were all unimportant questions, but at this time, he inexplicably wanted to seriously think about it, but with this thought, he felt a splitting headache and his entire body started to become restless. Wah-wah-wah waves of sounds that sounded like waves crashing into a flood rang out in his mind. A crazed, tearing feeling suddenly spread throughout his body. This feeling was incomparably painful, as if he was about to be torn apart in the next second. What was going on? Su Yun suddenly opened his eyes. His originally pale face had become even paler, but his eyes were incomparably red, to the point where even his pupils could not be seen, as they were completely covered by blood. He raised his hands, but was shocked to discover that at this moment countless blood-colored lines had appeared all over his body. These lines seemed to be wounds that had been torn open on his skin, dark red and sinister, extremely terrifying. What is this? However, the intense pain prevented him from thinking too much. Before he could think of anything, he was once again assaulted by the pain. In the quiet world of the true devil sect, he had long since gotten used to it. He had abandoned the pain, and even if swords and blades struck his body, he would not feel much. But at this moment, his body was once again in uncontrollable pain, and this pain seemed to be acting on his soul. Ah! Finally, Su Yun's entire body twitched. He roared out, a wave of qi ripples burst out from his body, directly shattering the training grounds. The explosion resounded throughout the entire immortal-seeking sect. What happened? The round demon and Xiang Yang brought a portion of the disciples and rushed over. When they saw the person standing in the ruins, they were stunned. The current Su Yun's entire body was overflowing with dense devil qi. His face and hands were filled with terrifying bloodstains. He was like a sky demon, filled with baleful aura. It was extremely terrifying. Quick, seal this place immediately. Don't let the devil qi leak out. The round demon hurriedly shouted at the few devil cultivators who were disguised as disciples of the immortal-seeking sect. The few of them nodded and immediately went to do it. Immediately bring Lord Demon Lord back to the true devil sect. We will depart now, quickly. The round demon shouted, then turned to Xiang Yang and said, Lord Xiang Yang, I will leave this place to you for now. I will bring the demon lord away for a while, and will be back soon. What happened to Lord? Xiang Yang muttered with a shocked expression. This matter is very complicated and extremely difficult to explain. If there's a chance in the future, I will tell Lord Xiangyang. The round demon said indifferently, but it was impossible for Xiangyang not to understand the meaning behind his words. The round demon did not plan to tell him at all. Xiangyang was startled for a moment, then nodded and said, "Then, Lord should go first, leave this place to Xiangyang." "Yes. If there's anything, please send someone to inform us immediately." "All right." Xiangyang nodded. The round demon did not waste any more words. He immediately used his qi to wrap around Su Yun, who was so weak that he looked like he was about to faint, and flew out. Xiangyang looked at Su Yun worriedly. He did not wish for anything to happen to Su Yun. If Su Yun died, then no one would be able to cure the poison in his body, and at that time, he would have to accompany Su Yun in death. The round demon led Su Yun straight towards the true devil sect. He seemed to know something. He did not stop along the way, not wasting any time at all. On the way, Su Yun's condition did not improve. On the contrary, the blood-red marks on his body increased. He was also extremely weak, in pain. He opened his blood-red eyes, tried his best to look at his surroundings, and weakly shouted, "Round demon, where are you taking me?" Although Su Yun's voice was very soft, the round demon could still hear it. "Lord Demon Lord, your symptoms should be caused by the devil blood in your body. Don't worry, the sect leader once told me that once something like this happens to you, I will immediately bring you back to the sect." The round demon said, "Devil blood?" Su Yun's heart was filled with confusion. In fact, he had always had a few questions that he could not solve. Transmigration. Why did he transmigrate? Why did he return to the past? Demon blood. He was clearly a member of the Su family. How could he have demon blood? Changing blood before transmigrating was also before transmigrating, definitely not with this body. He had thought about these questions countless of times before. Returning to the true devil sect, the round demon quickly brought Su Yun to the cultivation grounds of the sect leader. "I hope that the sect leader will not go into seclusion again this time." The round demon muttered non-stop along the way. Although his expression was calm, his actions seemed to be in a hurry. As they approached the cultivation grounds, before the round demon could send someone in to report to the sect leader, he heard a low voice coming from the cultivation grounds, "Bring the demon lord in." As the sound of his voice faded, a trace of surprise flashed across the round demon's face. Did the sect leader already know that he would bring the demon lord here? "Sect leader, are you not in closed-door cultivation?" "No, come in quickly," the true devil sect leader said again. The round demon nodded. He did not dare hesitate, and brought Su Yun into the cultivation grounds. The true devil sect leader stood behind a curtain. He could only see a blurry figure, but his face could not be seen. Su Yun was supported by the round demon as he walked in. He raised his heavy head and looked at the true devil sect leader. Just as he was about to bow, the true devil sect leader spoke. "There's no need to be so polite. Demon Lord, quickly sit down and I will immediately stabilize the devil blood in your body." "Is it because of the devil blood?" Hearing that, Su Yun secretly thought. He did not force himself to continue, and directly sat down. The round demon stood at the side and looked at the back of the curtain. Suddenly, two black hands that were like rubber bands extended out and wrapped around Su Yun's body. It was like a python coiling around his body, and was gently wriggling. Su Yun closed his eyes tightly, and the bloodstains all over his body immediately dimmed a little. His face, which had become distorted from the pain, also relaxed a little, as if the pain in his body had dissipated quite a bit. The devil chi that was seeping out from the bloodstains also lessened a little, and his strength seemed to have recovered quite a bit. He slowly opened his eyes and looked at the curtain. Panting heavily, he asked, "Sect leader, what exactly is going on? Your mind is in a mess." The sect leader said indifferently, "My state of mind is in a mess. The devil blood in your body contains an extremely terrifying devil nature. Under the influence of your state of mind, it will boil on its own. If you do not suppress it in time, you will be controlled by the devil nature in your devil blood. At that time, the consequences will be unimaginable. Devil blood, what the hell is going on? The devil blood in my body. Whose blood is it? Su Yun asked in a low voice. Unexpectedly, after these words were said, the sect leader fell silent. After a long while, he said indifferently, Demon Lord, the devil blood in your body is your opportunity, your good fortune. I hope you can make good use of it. Good fortune? Sect leader, I don't understand what you mean. How did you get this devil blood? Perhaps you can go to the place where you obtained it. The sect leader's voice was still very calm. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart sank. Where did he get it? The Sky Martial Continent? That nameless corpse? Demon Lord, this devil blood is not ordinary devil blood. For it to be able to stay in your body and not die, this is good fortune. If an ordinary person were to obtain this blood, their soul would have long since dissipated. All of this might just be a coincidence, but since it is already destined, we must agree. Demon Lord, from today onwards, your position in the true devil realm will be on equal footing with mine. In the future, when you see me, there is no need to bow. The sect leader said. Su Yun was shocked and asked in shock, Why? Because of the devil blood in your body. Devil blood, what did the sect leader mean? Was he respecting the devil blood? Was this devil blood so noble? If that was the case, the sect leader probably knew what kind of devil blood this was. But why didn't he tell me about the origin of the devil blood? Su Yun did not ask any further. After the sect leader calmed down for a while, he retracted his black hand that was like a rubber band. It's about time, Demon Lord. Go and recuperate for a while. I believe you'll be fine. The sect leader said, but at the moment, his voice was somewhat weak. Although he did not spend much time helping Su Yun recuperate, the amount of devil power consumed was extremely large. Su Yun stood up, bade farewell to the sect leader, and returned to his own cultivation area to meditate. Although he was meditating, the doubts in his heart could not be dispelled. After thinking about it, he decided to make a trip to the Sky Martial Continent. That nameless corpse should still be there. After he finished meditating, his condition had recovered quite a bit. Su Yun reorganized himself, informed the sect, and returned to the Sky Martial Continent alone. Chapter 1005. Other than that, there were special upper realms, such as the Immortal Realm, but regardless of whether it was the Immortal Realm or the 10,000 realms, they were all above the Sky Martial Continent. The people in the Sky Martial Continent were at the bottom of the food chain, and the spirit cultivation profound chi that the people here came in contact with was also the most basic. It could be said that this was a mortal world, and even an ordinary spirit cultivator in the ultimate martial world could become a peerless supreme expert if placed here. To enter the Sky Martial Continent, he still needed to walk through the entrance that he first came in from, the gigantic iron door. Su Yun still remembered the qualification badge when he first entered the ultimate martial world, and now that he took it out, the ranking on the qualification badge had undergone an earth-shattering change. He was currently ranked second, which meant that his current cultivation was ranked second in the ultimate martial world, and his fighting strength was ranked second, which was already 49 million. His cultivation level, which was close to the spirit profound immortal realm, did not belong to the ultimate martial world for a long time, but from this it could be seen that this qualification badge only recorded the rankings of the ultimate martial world and even the 10,000 realms, but it did not record the rankings of the immortal realm. However, they still didn't know who the first expert was. Entering the ultimate martial world through the door, Su Yun saw the desolate divine cloud immortal palace. Ever since Shangguan Qinqing moved her sect to the peerless sect, the divine cloud immortal palace had been completely abandoned. The sect was originally located in a remote area of the Sky Martial Continent, so there were not many people who came here. Su Yun leaped into the air and headed towards the center of the continent. While flying, they can see many demon corpses from the battle between the divine cloud immortal palace and the demonic Tao. The demonic aura still hasn't dissipated. Although Su Shintian and Shin Shueshue were not his parents, at least Su Qing'er was still here, and there were still people who truly cared about him and would not lie to him. Su Yun took a deep breath, thinking about Qing'er's gentle and sweet smile. His messy and frustrated heart calmed down a lot. The true demon realm had spread the news that Qing'er possessed the body of a divine spirit, causing the tyrants of the immortal realm to attack the unparalleled sect. This was probably not intentional. The peerless sect was powerful. How could the demons of the true demon realm dare to provoke them? Furthermore, the peerless sect was located in the immortal realm. Demons and devils were not allowed to enter, so they had no chance at all. Opportunity? Su Yun, who was flying in the air, suddenly had a change in expression. He suddenly remembered something. That was to stop a large number of people from the myriad heavens realms from suddenly rushing in at the gate of the immortal realm. As time went by, it was said that the number of people rushing towards the gate of the realm of immortals had increased. More than 100 of them had broken through the defensive line of the immortal court and entered the realm of immortals. Now they had gone into hiding. The immortal court had no choice but to send 2 immortals to hunt them down. The gate of the realm of immortals had become a river of blood and mountains of corpses. Why would so many people from the 10,000 worlds suddenly barge in for no reason? Moreover, it just had to appear at this critical juncture. Could they all be here for the god's body? However, these people were clearly sending themselves to their deaths by barging in like this. How could anyone be so reckless? Unless they were all bewitched by someone. That's right. That must be the case. Su Yun's mind flashed with a light, feeling that it was extremely possible. The other party had bewitched the people of the myriad heavens realms and used them to create chaos in the immortal realm. Then, they would find an opportunity to plot against Qing'er. If the immortal realm was in chaos, and the immortal court was unable to take care of themselves, then they would have the chance to snatch Qing'er away. Although this was only a possibility, it did not mean that it would not happen. Su Yun did not expect the immortal court to be able to protect Qing'er. He still had to rely on himself for everything. After pondering for a moment, he decided to return to the immortal world and focus all his energy on consolidating the Dali Palace's forces. After Kuei Yang's death, there were indeed a portion of people who left the Dali Palace. However, most of them chose to stay in the Dali Palace because Kuei Yang's existence in the Dali Palace was merely a symbolic symbol. He wouldn't guide the disciples under him in their cultivation. If the disciples wanted to cultivate the Dali art and raise their cultivation, they would have to rely on the 12 elders. As long as these elders were still around, they wouldn't leave. Even if the current Hidden Dragon Hall was compared to the Carefree Palace, the Great Linglong Palace was still much stronger. Compared to the ultimate martial world and the immortal realm, the Sky Martial Continent was much smaller. With Su Yun's current speed, in less than half a day, he had already passed through the hinterland of the continent and directly went out to the other side of the continent. The Devil Sect was located on an extremely large Devil Island. Although it was called a Devil Island, it was actually very large, like a continent, so this place was also called the Demonic Continent. To the people of the Sky Martial Continent, this Devil Island was a forbidden area. The miasma overflowed in all directions, and if an ordinary person from the Sky Martial Continent were to step onto the Devil Island, they would immediately die. However, as the demon lord of the true Devil realm, the miasma on the island was equivalent to nothing to Su Yun. After entering the Devil Island, Su Yun walked quickly and rushed towards the direction of the Devil Sect. Devil Sect to the people of the Sky Martial Continent, this was a mysterious and terrifying name. This was the strongest power of the Devil Cultivator in the entire Devil Cultivator continent, just like the true Devil Sect of the true Devil realm. However, the devil sect was extremely low-key, unlike the other devil cultivators, who fought everywhere and devoured resources. The people of the devil sect revered power, but the majority of the power they obtained was obtained through their own efforts. Su Yun did not go to the devil sect, but wandered around the mountains outside the devil sect. This mountain was called the Skull Mountain. It was said that the mountain was filled with the bones of the spirit cultivator, and the bones and soil were mixed together to form this mountain. There were no signs of life on the mountain. It was deathly silent, just like the 9 hells. When the devil sect was fighting with the righteous sects, they had set this place as their main battlefield. Su Yun had once fought an ambush with the people of the devil sect here, and that time, it was a great victory for the devil sect. The righteous alliance suffered heavy losses and fled in a sorry state, but it was also because of this battle that the righteous alliance changed their leader. The next leader, Yang Bai, was extremely astute and had a unique vision. The devil sect's several ambushes were all seen through by the other party, causing the devil sect to be in a disadvantageous position in the later battles. Su Yun did not know if the devil sect had lost after the decisive battle, because he had transmigrated, and from the looks of it, in this life, the devil sect had not fought a war with the righteous alliance. Perhaps it was because the profound sky sect had been eradicated, and the sect structure of the sky martial continent had been broken. Su Yun walked on the mountain top, all the way to the east, and arrived at a cliff on the mountain top. He looked down a few times, leaped up, and directly fell down. When he was halfway up the mountain, he stopped and floated in the air. In front of him was a 1/2 meter long black hole. It looked like a naturally formed cave, but in truth it was a man-made cave. In his previous life, Su Yun wanted to enter the devil sect, but was rejected, and was chased by a few devil cultivator. Helpless, he could only jump down the cliff, and accidentally found this cave, so he hid inside, and coincidentally found a nameless devil cultivator corpse inside. In order to enter the devil sect, Su Yun had to be a devil cultivator. In order to enter the devil sect, Su Yun had to find a cure for his strange illness, and had no choice but to change his blood, but not all of the devil cultivator's demon blood could perfectly fuse into the human body. Su Yun had picked a large number of dead devil cultivator corpses, but none of the corpses had demon blood that was compatible with him, so in desperation, he had chosen this one. Who knew that the devil cultivator corpse's blood would actually fuse extremely well with Su Yun, and not only was it extremely high, what was even more surprising was that the devil cultivator's corpse was rotten on the outside, but there was still a large amount of blood inside, as though it was not rotten at all. Which devil cultivator corpse did this belong to? Was it from the devil sect? Su Yun thought and flew straight towards the black hole. The black hole was exactly the same as when he first discovered it. From the traces on top, it seemed like no one had discovered this place yet. He pulled out the death sword, waved it slightly, and cut the hole bigger, and then flew in. It was pitch black inside, and the miasma was even thicker, but even in the darkness, Su Yun could see everything clearly. However, after a while, Su Yun had already reached the end of the cave, but the scene in front of him completely shocked him. There was nothing there. There was nothing in the cave. That so-called nameless corpse. There was none. What's going on? Su Yun quickly looked around, but in this small cave there were no corpses. How could this be? There were no traces of anyone entering the cave, so it was impossible for the corpse to run out by itself. Why were there no corpses here? Su Yun's eyes were filled with confusion and panic. He had thought that he would be able to figure out the matter of the blood in his body, but he never thought that there would be nothing in the cave where the corpse should be. Could it be that, after he transmigrated to this world, he had changed a lot, so much so that the corpse was not here? Or could it be that, after he transmigrated to this world, he had changed a lot, so much so that the corpse was not here? But that's not right. That corpse seemed to have been dead for many years. It was likely that before he transmigrated to this world, the corpse was already in the cave. What was going on? The endless confusion caused Su Yun's originally calm state of mind to become chaotic once again. Without the corpse, he would not be able to solve the mystery of his blood. Perhaps the only person who could give him the answer was the true Devil sect leader, but since he did not say it, Su Yun could not force him to say it either. Forget it, I don't care anymore. I believe that sooner or later I will know all of this. He sighed, organized his thoughts, and walked out of the cave. Towards the Devil sect, he did not have deep feelings for it, and it was not convenient for him to enter the true Devil sect again. Su Yun thought of Blossom Heart Valley. He did not know if those people from back then were still alright. Chapter 1006. Ever since they parted ways at Blossom Heart Valley, who knew how Pill King and the rest were doing, as well as Xinu and Xingyang, they should have changed a lot, right? Thinking about the two of them, Su Yun could not help but speed up. Meeting again after a long time, the longing in his heart grew stronger. To be able to reunite with an old friend was also a great joy in life. Ever since the Su family changed, the entire family had migrated, but Su Xinu and Su Xingyang did not follow, but stayed in Blossom Heart Valley to cultivate. Because of their relationship with Su Yun, they believed that staying in the Su family would be uncomfortable, and furthermore, Blossom Heart Valley was more suitable for them to develop. Although he had left the Sky Martial Continent for a long time, Su Yun was still very familiar with everything here. His movements were fast and fierce, as though he could not wait any longer, and directly rushed towards the Blossom Heart Valley in the southern continent. If an ordinary person wanted to enter the Sky Martial Continent from the Demonic Continent and then reach the Great Cyan region, it would take at least a few months, but Su Yun only needed less than a day to reach. However, just as he entered the southern continent, a strange smell of blood floated in the air. The smell of blood was not considered strong, but Su Yun's nose was sharp, and he could smell it clearly with a simple sniff. What? Was there a fight down there? He raised his eyes and scanned the area below, only to see that there were groups of spirit cultivators enslaving groups of ordinary citizens who did not have any cultivation. These spirit cultivators were all dressed the same, and looked like an army. There were many dead people by the side of the road, some were ordinary citizens, and some were weak spirit cultivators. The scene was extremely miserable. Among the people who were chased away, many of them were severely injured. Before long, someone would die. Su Yun frowned, looking at the ordinary citizens. They did not seem to have committed any serious crimes. After all, there were many old people and children. This place was already close to the Great Cyan region. What was going on? Could it be that someone had established a country here? Su Yun looked at the spirit cultivator and frowned. He did not care, after all, he did not know the reason, so he flew straight away, rushing towards the Great Cyan region, but as he moved forward, he saw more and more of such scenes. A large number of spirit cultivator in uniform were escorting ordinary citizens or weak spirit cultivator. The corpses by the side of the road were like weeds on the ground, extremely common. The smell of blood in the air became thicker and thicker. Suddenly, Su Yun's eyes suddenly congealed, and a familiar figure appeared in his line of sight. Chen Myun, the second clan elder of Blossom Heart Valley. At this moment, his hands were in chains, and he was slowly moving forward with those miserable people. His hair was disheveled, and his appearance was extremely old. His lips were shriveled, and his face was covered in wrinkles. Moreover, his face was covered in dirt, and he was in a sorry and slovenly state. His eyes were completely devoid of luster, and he seemed as if he was on the verge of death. Su Yun confirmed again and again that he was not mistaken. This person was Chen Myun, but he did not have any cultivation. Elder Chen. Su Yun descended from the sky and landed in the middle of the crowd. Ah! Seeing someone suddenly descend from the sky, the people below were startled and retreated to the side in panic. Who is it? Don't panic. Don't panic. All of you, stay steady. Hey, all of you, get over here. If anyone dares to escape, I will immediately send him to heaven. All of you, line up and move quickly. Hurry! Hey, why are you still lying on the ground? Playing dead? I'll make you comfortable. The spirit cultivator dressed in uniform shouted loudly. All of them raised their braids and mercilessly waved them at the commoners. As long as one was a spirit cultivator, they would be able to control the profound chi. Thus, even the skinniest person would be able to unleash an extremely terrifying power. The skinny commoners were immediately lashed to pieces by the spirit cultivator, and some of them even died under the whips. Stop! All of you, stop! Seeing that, Chen Muyun shouted at the top of his lungs. However, his words were weak. After shouting 2 sentences, he was out of breath. His body was too weak. Su Yun frowned. He looked at the spirit cultivator around him, raised his hand and moved slightly. A strange chi shot out from his fingers, directly striking the spirit cultivator around him. In that moment, the profound chi of the spirit cultivator were sealed, and before they could react, they were corroded by the intense pain, and all of them fell to the ground, rolling around. This strange scene caused everyone to be astonished and their eyes to widen. Chen Muyun stared blankly at the strange scene. Suddenly, he thought of the person beside him, and anxiously turned to look at Su Yun, his voice trembling. You? Who are you? I'm Su Yun. Has Elder Chen forgotten about me? Su Yun looked at Chen Muyun and said, Su Yun? Chen Muyun's face revealed a trace of doubt, as though he was recalling something. Suddenly, his expression tensed up and he exclaimed, You are Su Yun? That's right, Elder Chen finally remembered me. Su Yun said, but he was also surprised by Chen Muyun's current situation. Chen Muyun sized Su Yun up from head to toe, then nodded her head with a sorrowful look. She sighed and said, It's been so many years, I never thought that I would meet an old friend here. It can be considered good fortune. Sigh. Su Yun's heart was filled with suspicion, looking at the unconcealable sorrow and disappointment on Chen Muyun's face. He asked curiously, Elder Chen, what exactly is going on? Why did you lose your cultivation? And why did you end up like this? Chen Muyun hesitated for a moment, then laughed bitterly. It's a long story, Su Yun. It's better if you don't ask. If you ask too much, it's not good for you. You should hurry up and go to Blossom Heart Valley. The Valley Master and the others might need your help. Hearing Chen Muyun's words, Su Yun was unhappy. Elder Chen, what exactly happened? Just say it. Let's go, Su Yun, you can't control it. Chen Muyun sighed again. Su Yun was startled. After thinking for a moment, he immediately raised his leg and fiercely stomped on the ground. Dong! In an instant, the entire ground started to shake violently, as though an earthquake had occurred. The ground started to crack, the mountain peaks shook, and the people on the ground started to sway, unable to stand steadily. Everyone crawled on the ground in fear, all of them trembling. Even the spirit cultivator were crawling on the ground in fear. Many of them did not have enough cultivation, so they could not fly at all. Chen Muyun was also shocked. Su Yun's kick happened right in front of his eyes. The intense sound seemed to be able to break his eardrums. His ears buzzed, and after a long time, he recovered. When he saw that Su Yun was the only one standing around, he understood. The Su Yun in front of him. He was no longer the Su Yun from back then. With this stomp of his foot, the earth really shook 3 times. Elder Chen, can you tell me now? Su Yun raised his head and said calmly. Yes, I'll tell you, Su Yun. Chen Muyun was tongue-tied. Su Yun raised his hand and pressed it on his shoulder. A gentle profound chi entered Chen Muyun's body from his palm. The chi was like a spring breeze brushing past his heart, like a young girl caressing his face. It was extremely comfortable. The injuries on Chen Muyun's body were actually recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a moment, his entire body was as good as new, without the slightest bit of pain. Su Yun's current profound qi was extremely strong. The energy contained within could easily draw out the hidden potential of any life form, and could even replace the internal structure of any life form. To ordinary mortals, it was like a peach of immortality. It was even more easy for them to die. Seeing his own change, Chen Myun was even more convinced that the current Su Yun had already reached a supreme peak that was difficult to look up to. Who in the sky martial continent could do such a thing? All these years, where had Su Yun spent it? What had he experienced? Chen Myun had thousands of questions in his mind, but he was not in a hurry to ask. He looked at the injured commoners around him and opened his mouth, looking like he wanted to say something but was hesitant. Su Yun had originally thought that Chen Myun would immediately tell him what had happened, but after seeing his expression, he came to a realization. Chen Myun came from Blossom Heart Valley. He had always harbored the heart of a healer. Now that he had been saved, how could he watch the innocent people around him suffer? But just as Su Yun was about to say something, Chen Myun suddenly knelt down. Su Yun was dumbstruck. Master Su Yun, Chen Myun does not know what your current cultivation level is, but Chen Myun has a presumptuous request. If you can save even one more person, can you also heal that person? He already looked extremely old. The lifespan of the people of the Sky Martial Continent could not be compared to the people of the ultimate martial world. Their cultivation was low, their lifespans were short, and Chen Myun was already old, but now he looked even older. Hearing Chen Myun's request, Su Yun's heart was once again moved. Maybe no matter what happened, no matter where he was, the principle of Blossom Heart Valley's healing would not change. He anxiously helped Chen Myun up. Elder Chen's character is truly benevolent and benevolent. I admire you. Elder Chen, if you have this request, just say it. There is no need for this. Su Yun will do it. Su Yun laughed and said, then started to instigate the profound qi to heal the people. It was just that along the way. Who knew how many people like this? Even if he could save them, what about the others? What about the many people that Su Yun could not save? They all knew that this was only treating the symptoms and not the root cause. Seeing that Su Yun was still saving people one by one, Chen Myun sighed, and began to explain the ins and outs of the matter. Chapter 1007. It turned out that after the battle between Su Yun and the Profound Sky sect, the structure of the Sky Martial Continent had undergone an earth-shattering change. All the powerhouses saw that Su Yun did not take the chance to take in the Profound Sky sect's power, and started to snatch resources. As one of the top sects in the Sky Martial Continent, the Profound Sky sect's existence could deter many other sects, causing them to not dare to act blindly without thinking. However, the Profound Sky sect had already been destroyed, and the haze that shrouded the other sects immediately lessened by a layer, and they started to become fearless. A powerful spirit cultivator appeared out of nowhere and directly descended to the southern region, and took over the Julian region, Mystical Mountain Range, Great Cyan region, Ambitious region, Yellow Sand region and Jade Immortal region, turning them all into his subordinate regions, and established the Southern Tiger Country, with himself as the king of the country. No one knew where the king of the Southern Tiger Country came from, but he used his martial power to rule over the southern continent, causing the people of the southern continent to sink into an abyss of suffering. The king of the Southern Tiger Country was cruel and heartless, extremely greedy and extremely lecherous. It was said that he had once ordered the spirit cultivators under him to search for exceptional beauties in the entire country, regardless of whether they had cultivation or not. All of them were brought into the palace to become his concubines. He forced them to dual cultivate with him, and anyone who did not comply would be immediately killed. Not only that, he also requested for all the spirit cultivators in the country to hand over treasures and cultivation coins to be used for his training. The Southern Tiger Country was already sealed, and only the spirit cultivators from the outside were allowed to enter, but the spirit cultivators inside were not allowed to leave. Many people wanted to escape from the nightmare, but were forced to stay. Anyone who escaped from the southern tiger country would be immediately killed, without any mercy. Chun Muyun was originally the second clan elder of Blossom Heart Valley. Blossom Heart Valley was an expert in medicine, healing the wounded and dying, practicing medicine to help the people. Many people who were suffering thought of this celestial sect, and all rushed over, hoping to avoid the calamity. However, the people of the southern tiger country had their eyes on this place. When the king heard that the people of Blossom Heart Valley were experts in medicine, he immediately sent people over, requesting for the people of Blossom Heart Valley to concoct pills for dual cultivation. The pills that the people of Blossom Heart Valley concocted were basically used to save people, so why would they concoct such pills? Naturally, they rejected. Thus, the king of the southern tiger country was enraged, and sent an army to destroy Blossom Heart Valley. Blossom Heart Valley's strength was not considered strong. How could they defend against an entire country's army? The king of the mountain to destroy Blossom Heart Valley to vent his hatred, but Mu Yun said that only the people of Blossom Heart could cure out, and that out, the king of Blossom Heart out. That the valley that out, that out, the king in the Blossom Valley out, Blossom Hua sect, that valley and Blossom, out and Blossom, the valley and out. That, they sect, Hua Valley was not. And Blossom out, that out. They and out into flower out. The king of the southern tiger country originally wanted to destroy Blossom Heart Valley, to vent the hatred in his heart, but Chun Muyin said that only the people of Blossom Heart Valley could cure the illness. Thus, the people of Blossom Heart Valley escaped a calamity, but the king of the southern tiger country requested for the people of Blossom Heart Valley to develop a pill to cure the illness within 3 years, if not, he would raze Blossom Heart Valley to the ground. Chun Muyun bought time for Blossom Heart Valley, but he himself could not escape death. The experts of the southern tiger country crippled his cultivation on the spot, and then brought him back to the capital of the southern tiger country. It was said that the king of the southern tiger country planned to torture him to death. Chun Muyun had once considered using poison to poison the king of the southern tiger country, but in his entire life, he had saved people, and had never killed anyone, so he could not bear to do it. He was also extremely moved. This time, he was actually harmed by his own kindness. This time, Chun Muyun was on the way to the capital of the southern tiger country, and the few experts of the southern tiger country had already returned to the southern tiger country, and reported the matter to the king. I never thought that the matter would be so complicated. Su Yun was extremely moved, but he was also extremely worried. Su Yun was deeply moved, but he was also worried. He asked in a low voice, then, "How is Blossom Heart Valley doing now? Are Xian Yu and Xing Yang doing well? Is Senior Pill King doing well?" Sigh. Chun Muyun sighed heavily and shook his head. A few years ago, the Valley Master made a mistake in his cultivation and died from a serious illness. Pill King took over as the Valley Master, and Xian Yu and Xing Yang followed the Pill King to cultivate, and everything was peaceful until the southern continent met with a sudden change. Blossom Heart Valley has always been saving the world, but there are too many refugees, and the entire Blossom Heart Valley has already been occupied by refugees, and even the disciples who were in charge of cleaning have been sent to treat the sick, but it is still not enough. The current situation of Blossom Heart Valley is not looking good. On one hand, they have to take care of the endless refugees, and on the other hand, they have to deal with the southern tiger country. There are already many disciples who could not endure the huge pressure, and have chosen to leave, and many people in the sects have fallen sick because of this, and if this goes on, I am afraid that even without the people of the southern tiger country taking action, these refugees are enough to drag down the entire Blossom Heart Valley. Chun Muyun sighed. Her eyes were filled with worry. I never thought that such a thing would happen. Su Yun frowned. He scratched his chin and thought for a while. Su Yun, Mu Yun is now a cripple, without any cultivation. I can't save anyone, but you can. Your current cultivation should be very strong, right? Mu Yun actually has an idea in her heart. It can temporarily alleviate Blossom Heart Valley's current situation. Idea? Su Yun was startled. That's right. Chun Muyun nodded his head. Although the Southern Tiger people are strong, they are not omnipotent. We can't fight them. How can we not hide? Su Yun, the North is extremely peaceful. If you can lead the people of Blossom Heart Valley to break out of the encirclement and enter the northern continent, you will definitely be able to protect Blossom Heart Valley. Can't we just destroy the Southern Tiger Country? The North is too far. Su Yun said. Destroy? Hearing that, Chen Muyun's eyes immediately widened, and with a roaring voice, Su Yun, you must not be careless. The army of the Southern Tiger Country is made up of 300,000 spirit cultivator. He has absorbed countless spirit cultivator sects, with a large number of experts following him. The current strength of the Southern Tiger Country is already extremely terrifying. Especially the king of the Southern Tiger Country. He is an unparalleled strong martial artist. How can he be destroyed so easily? The current Southern Tiger Country, I am afraid even the profound Sky Sect cannot contend against them. To destroy the Southern Tiger Country is simply a fantasy. Seems like we can't communicate. Su Yun shook his head and said, How about this, Clan Elder Mu Yun? Let's return to Blossom Heart Valley first. You just came, you do not know the current situation. All right, let's return to Blossom Heart Valley first. Chen Muyun sighed and said. Su Yun was lazy to explain, nodded his head, and returned to Blossom Heart Valley with Chen Muyun. Although Chen Muyun had lost his cultivation, Su Yun could still bring him back easily. Clan Elder Mu Yun, stand beside me. Su Yun looked at Chen Muyun, who was prepared to walk, and shouted. Chen Muyun's face revealed suspicion. He did not understand. Su Yun, what are you doing? Just come over. Hearing that, Chen Muyun's heart was filled with confusion, but he did not ask anything, and directly walked over. Although he did not understand Su Yun, he knew that Su Yun would definitely not harm him. From the time when he sacrificed himself to save Blossom Heart Valley, after so many years, he definitely did not change. But, just as Chen Muyun got close to Su Yun, a burst of air-breaking sound suddenly rang in his ears. Following that, the scene in front of him suddenly became blurry. He felt the world spinning, as though he was about to faint at any time. What's going on? Chen Muyun felt as though his soul was about to rush out of his body. He was completely unaware of what was happening. After an unknown period of time, he felt his consciousness gradually recovering. He tried his best to open his weak eyes, only to realize that he was actually high up in the sky. Ah! Chen Muyun was so frightened that he immediately shouted out. Clan Elder Chen, do not panic. Just then, Su Yun's voice came out from the side. Chen Muyun looked over, only to realize that Su Yun was actually beside him, but at the moment, he did not appear to be panicking like Chen Muyun, but looked ahead with a calm face, as though nothing had happened. Could it be that Su Yun was the one who brought him to fly? Chen Muyun was shocked to death. He looked down at his body. Although it was very subtle, he could still feel an extremely warm and comfortable qi dragging his body, bringing him forward. This qi, was it Su Yun's? There were not many people in Sky Martial Continent who could fly. If a spirit cultivator wanted to fly, they could only rely on treasures, but looking at Su Yun, he could easily fly. What kind of strength did he have to be able to do that? And what was even more terrifying was that he was currently flying with someone. We're here. Just at this time, Su Yun once again spat out two words. We're here? Where are we? Chen Muyun was startled. His face was filled with shock as he looked at Su Yun. Blossom Heart Valley. While Su Yun said, he urged his qi to descend. Flower. Blossom Heart Valley? Chen Muyun was dumbfounded. The place he was at was a different region, Blossom Heart Valley was located in the Great Sian region. The two places were separated by tens of thousands of miles. How could he reach Blossom Heart Valley so quickly? After landing, Chern Muyun immediately twisted his neck to look around, but the scene in front of him seemed so familiar. There was no mistake. Chern Muyun grew up in Blossom Heart Valley. He was extremely familiar with every grass and every tree here. This was Blossom Heart Valley. Seeing that, Chern Muyun's entire body started to tremble. His body stiffly turned around and looked at Su Yun, who had a calm face, but in his heart, there were already thousands of words that he wanted to say, and in the end, all these words turned into a trembling sentence. Blossom Heart Valley. Could it be that this time there is hope? Let's go in first, then we'll talk. Su Yun laughed and directly stepped inside. Chapter 1008. The current Blossom Heart Valley was completely different from the Blossom Heart Valley that Su Yun had seen before. The Blossom Heart Valley was filled with birdsong and fragrant flowers. Spirit grasses were everywhere. Although it was not a blessed land, it could still be regarded as a spiritual treasure land. However, the Blossom Heart Valley that Su Yun saw now was completely different from what he had seen before. Currently, the entrance of Blossom Heart Valley was bustling with people, but they were not the disciples of Blossom Heart Valley, but a large number of refugees. Their clothes were tattered, and many of them were injured. Fresh blood dyed their tattered clothes red, and some of their wounds were oozing pus. Often, some people fell down and could no longer stand up. There were even a few dead bodies in the crowd, but no one cared, and they just squeezed their way in. The entrance to the valley was completely blocked. Not a single Blossom Heart Valley disciple could be seen. The entrance of the valley was replaced by a stench and the stench of blood. Some of the spiritual plants had already withered. The mess here was beyond Su Yun's imagination. He stood in the distance and looked at the scene in astonishment. They want to enter the valley? Yes. Chern Muyun sighed. Why are we entering the valley? The first is to heal, and the second is to seek refuge. Heal? Don't tell me only Blossom Heart Valley can heal? The treatment at Blossom Heart Valley is completely free. These people, most of them do not have money. What about refuge? Blossom Heart Valley's strength is not strong, and can't provide any help. The other sects will definitely not accept the refugees. After all, they are just a group of lowly commoners without any martial arts. Other than Blossom Heart Valley, no other sects will provide them with shelter or food. So, more and more people are rushing towards Blossom Heart Valley. They think that this is the only place where they can continue to live, but Blossom Heart Valley is only so big, and cannot accommodate so many people. Now, the valley is already filled with refugees. Pill King has even vacated the Valley Lord's land, but it can only solve the urgent problem. Chern Muyun sighed again. Su Yun thought for a moment, took a light breath, and said indifferently, "Let's enter the valley first." Yes. With that said, Su Yun grabbed Chern Muyun's shoulders, and with a tap of his feet, he transformed into a ray of white light and entered the valley. Look, a miracle! Heavens, is the true God here? Is the living Buddha from Blossom Heart Valley here? Buddha, save us! Save us! Sorrowful cries rang out incessantly. Those despairing people even prostrated themselves and kowtowed towards the place where the white light appeared, hoping that a god would really appear and save them. Entering Blossom Heart Valley, Su Yun realized that what he saw outside was just the tip of the iceberg. At the moment, Blossom Heart Valley was already occupied by countless of refugees. On top of the mountain, at the bottom of the mountain, on the rocks, inside and outside the houses, there were countless of people. They sat on the ground, lying on the ground, some were resting, some were looking at the sky in a daze, not knowing what to do next. A few Blossom Heart Valley disciples, whose clothes had already turned yellow, were carrying huge steamers. Inside the steamers were many yellow buns, and they were distributing them one by one. Although spirit cultivators did not need much food, it was still necessary for ordinary people to have 2 meals a day. However, the number of injured people was the most. The number of Blossom Heart Valley disciples was limited. Su Yun saw that there were close to 400 refugees, but the number of disciples who could treat them was less than 10. The majority of the refugees' injuries were very serious. Looking at them one by one, some disciples were so tired that they were lying on the ground. In terms of medicinal ingredients, it was also very serious. Even the cleverest housewife could not cook without rice. Without medicinal ingredients, even if they knew the illness, they could not treat it. Su Yun even saw that many of the Blossom Heart Valley disciples had looks of despair on their faces. Seeing that, Su Yun's face became gloomy. Chen Mu Yun carefully looked at Su Yun, as if he was expecting something. But Su Yun did not say a word, and directly walked towards the Valley Master. "Ah, Elder Chen Mu Yun? Elder Chen, why are you here?" "It's Elder Chen." "Wasn't he taken away? Why is he here?" "Don't tell me, he escaped back?" "Escaped? Then wouldn't our Blossom Heart Valley be in trouble?" Along the way, a few of the Blossom Heart Valley disciples saw Chen Mu Yun walking over. All of their faces were filled with surprise. They were stunned, and all of their eyes were as wide as a bull's, as if they had seen a ghost. Chen Mu Yun bit his lower lip, as if he wanted to say something, but he stopped himself. "Bring me to see the Valley Master." Su Yun rushed to the few disciples and said. All of the disciples looked haggard and weak. The spirit chi in their bodies had been depleted, and they were close to their limits. The disciples looked at Su Yun suspiciously. "You go and tell your Valley Master I am Su Yun," Su Yun said indifferently. "Su Yun." The disciples looked at each other. They were disciples who had just entered the sect, and obviously had never heard of this name before. But seeing Su Yun's appearance and his luxurious clothing, no one dared to neglect him. One of the disciples cupped his fists, and immediately turned and ran away. Su Yun glanced at the path in front of him, and realized that the path leading to the Valley Master was completely occupied by the refugees. The bluestone path was extremely wide, but there were people on the left and right, and the place to stand was extremely narrow. Suddenly, Su Yun's eyebrows twitched, and he walked towards a few refugees. It was a family of 3. A man was lying on the ground, moaning in pain. Both of his arms were broken, and they were wrapped in cloth, but his blood had dyed the cloth bag red. Beside him was a rather young woman. She did not look old, but her skin was already dark, the coarse clothes on her body were full of patches, her hair was disheveled, and her face was covered in dust. She did not suffer any injuries, but the little girl, who looked to be around 7 or 8 years old, was in an extremely miserable state. There were a few extremely terrifying blade wounds on the little girl's body, and the blood had not stopped flowing. If someone with some cultivation was to use it, they would be able to clearly feel the profound strength floating around the wound. Although the profound strength was so weak that it could be said to be nothing to Su Yun, but when used on this ordinary little girl, it could cause her unprecedented pain. The little girl's right eye was already blinded, but the wound was not treated in time. She only took a few pieces of herbs and chewed them up and applied them. Her face was very pale, and her face was covered in sweat because of the pain. Her small hands tightly grabbed onto the woman's clothes, and her small silver teeth almost shattered. This kind of pain, if placed on an ordinary person of any age, would make them wish they were dead, but this little girl was enduring the pain, not crying, not even making a sound. How much willpower did she need to be able to do this? Su Yun walked over. The woman seemed to have sensed that someone was coming over. She raised her head to look at Su Yun, her eyes filled with confusion and hesitation, her body trembling. She subconsciously tightened her grip on the little girl in her arms. The little girl did not care about Su Yun. She was currently enduring the pain. Even if the sky and earth outside were to collapse, she would not be able to feel it. Don't hurt us anymore. The woman used a weak voice to move her chapped lips, her voice trembling violently. Don't worry, I won't hurt you, Su Yun said softly, then extended his hand and gently placed it on the little girl's shoulder. No. The woman shouted and turned around abruptly. Tears once again appeared in her eyes. They were tears of begging and tears of hatred. Su Yun was startled. He probably did not expect the woman's reaction to be so intense. Seeing that, Chen Muyun, who was standing behind, also sighed. Su Yun thought for a while, then squeezed out a smile and said gently, I am a disciple of Blossom Heart Valley, please do not be nervous, I can treat your daughter's injuries, so, can you let me take a look at your daughter's injuries? Disciple. Hearing that, the woman's entire body trembled, as though she had changed into another person. She anxiously knelt in front of Su Yun and shouted, Bodhisattva! Bodhisattva! You're finally here. If you didn't come, my daughter would not be able to hold on. I beg you, quickly take a look at my daughter. Quickly take a look at my daughter. She seemed to be crying and shouting at the same time. Her voice was somewhat hysterical. Su Yun turned his head and looked at Chen Mu-yun in confusion. Chen Mu-yun shook her head helplessly and said respectfully, Master Su Yun, Blossom Heart Valley has some manpower, but there are too many refugees. We are unable to treat everyone in time, so every day there will be people dying from serious illnesses. These few people, most likely the disciples, did not manage to reach here in time. I know. Su Yun nodded and said softly, All of this must end. He extended his hand, and held onto his daughter's hand that was tightly gripping onto the woman's coarse cloth, and injected a bit of qi into it. The gentle qi was like the purest and most holy halo that shone on her cheeks. It was extremely comfortable and soft, and the pain in the woman's body instantly disappeared without a trace. Her twisted face immediately smoothed out, and her face once again raised a smile. So comfortable. A young and tender voice sounded out. Su Yun extended his hand, and removed the herb from her eyes, and a bloody and mangled eye appeared in her line of sight. Su Yun stared at the wound for a moment, slightly closed his eyes, and pressed his hand on the eye. Seeing Su Yun's action, the woman was shocked. However, not only did the little girl not feel any pain, she instead leaned on Su Yun's embrace, and accepted Su Yun's treatment. The palm of the big hand was suffused with a burst of white halo. It was extremely magical. After a moment, Su Yun removed his hand. An unbelievable miracle had appeared. The little girl's originally bloody and mangled eye had already disappeared, and what replaced it was a beautiful and clear big eye. He had completely recovered. The woman was stunned. Chin Mu-yun was also stunned. This method, even a real bodhisattva would not be able to do it, right? The little girl once again opened her eyes. Her innocent and pure gaze gently looked at the man in front of her. She was a little curious, and also a little confused, but the ignorant her knew that the pain in her body had already been taken away by the big brother in front of her. Big brother, my body was originally in pain. Did you cure me? The little girl said with a childish voice. She seemed very generous and not afraid of strangers. Su Yun smiled and nodded. The little girl was immediately overjoyed. She tiptoed and kissed Su Yun on the cheek. Thank you, big brother. Su Yun touched his face, but his heart was filled with complicated emotions. How did she get hurt? Su Yun asked. It was hard for him to believe that such a little girl, why would anyone hurt her? Before Chen Mu-yun could speak, the little girl impatiently spoke. Her voice sounded a little angry. Although she was angry, the anger of such a little girl was rather cute. Who else could it be? Of course it's those bad guys from the southern tiger country. The little girl clenched her fists tightly and said fiercely. But as she spoke, fear surfaced on her face again, as if she remembered the pain from back then. Southern tiger country. Su Yun closed his eyes again and clenched his fists slightly. Chapter 1009. Just as Su Yun was still angry at the actions of the southern tiger country, a commotion came from the other side. A few of the disciples who were treating the refugees all stopped what they were doing and immediately cupped their fists towards the few people walking over. Valley Master. Greetings, Valley Master. Greetings, Valley Master. Don't stop, continue doing what you should be doing. A tired voice came out. Although the voice sounded tired, Su Yun felt that it was extremely familiar. He turned around and looked towards the people, only to see 3 people walking over. The one walking in front was the Pill King, who should have been full of energy, but the current him looked extremely old. His face was covered with scars, his hair was white, and his eyes were dim. Following beside him were Su Xingyang and Su Xianyu, who he had not seen for a long time. The 2 of them were much more mature than before. Xingyang had already grown a beard. He looked extremely steady, and Xianyu had also become more natural and unrestrained. Her figure was curvaceous, although her skin was still the color of wheat, but this did not affect her allure. The Pill King did not pay too much attention to the disciples, but quickly walked out. He seemed to be in a hurry. However, after taking a few steps, he could not help but stop. His dim yellow eyes looked at the man standing in the corridor in shock. Not only him, even Su Xingyang and Su Xianyu who were behind him were extremely astonished, staring blankly. Big brother Su? Su Xingyang was the first to regain his senses, and cried out involuntarily. Although he had left for so many years, Su Yun had not changed much, and he could recognize Su Yun with a single glance. Su Xianyu looked at Su Yun in a daze. Her eyes that were filled with spirituality overflowed with tears. She took a deep breath with all her might and softly called out, "Big brother Su." This sentence sounded extremely complicated, and Su Xianyu looked like she wanted to say something but was hesitant. "Xianyu, Xingyang." Su Yun walked over and said with a smile. He sized up the 2 siblings. It had to be said that after all these years, the 2 of them had changed a lot. They were more stable than before and must have experienced a lot in the past few years. The 2 of them looked at the person in front of them with their eyes wide open. Maybe they still did not believe that the person in front of them was Su Yun. "Su Yun, I didn't think that you would actually come." At this moment, the King of Medicine opened his mouth, his voice filled with emotion. Su Yun immediately turned and bowed to the Pill King. "Su Yun greets Senior." All right. The Yaowang nodded his head, his eyes filled with the joy of reuniting after a long time. Although the current state of Blossom Heart Valley did not make people feel optimistic, it did not affect Pill King's attitude towards Su Yun. "Su Yun, I never thought that you would actually come at this time. Come with me, let's have a good chat. Men, prepare some food and wine. I want to entertain my little friend well." Yaowang shouted. "There's no need, Senior. I have already understood the situation of Blossom Heart Valley through Elder Chen. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Furthermore, I don't need much food and wine." Su Yun said. "Elder Chen." The Pill King's face changed. He turned to look and realized that Chen Muyun was standing behind Su Yun. Immediately, his face was filled with shock. Su Yun did not hesitate, and immediately told the Pill King about how he saved Chen Muyun. When the Pill King heard it, he sighed again and again. Su Yun, I know that you have a kind heart. What you did was right. Just that, my Blossom Heart Valley is going to be in trouble again." The Pill King shook his head helplessly. Su Yun understood what the Pill King was worried about. Chen Muyun had escaped. The people of the Southern Tiger Nation would definitely be enraged. He was afraid that once the news reached the Southern Tiger Nation, the army of the Southern Tiger Nation would immediately rush over and eradicate Blossom Heart Valley. But Su Yun planned to settle all these matters today. "Senior Pill King, from today onwards, I will hand over the authority of the Southern Continent to you. What do you think?" Su Yun said. "Authority?" The Pill King was stunned. His eyes were filled with suspicion and confusion. He looked at Su Yun again and asked curiously, Su Yun, what do you mean by that? This sentence should be easy to understand. Since Blossom Heart Valley has won the hearts of the people, I believe that if Blossom Heart Valley governs the southern continent, there will definitely be many people who will support it. Su Yun, I don't like people talking nonsense. Do you know how difficult it is to achieve what you said? The Pill King's voice was gloomy. Unknowingly, he felt that the current Su Yun was much more frivolous than before. From what he said it so casually, as though it was a simple matter. But that was simply a fool's dream. The authority of the southern continent? How could it be so easily obtained? Su Yun was not an idiot. He understood what this sentence meant. I am not talking nonsense. Senior Pill King, you guys can stay here for now. I will go to the Southern Tiger Nation. Su Yun, don't be rash. Big brother Su Yun, we know that your cultivation is definitely not the same as before. But you definitely do not know how strong the Southern Tiger Nation is. The current even the profound Sky Sect cannot compare to it. Big brother, don't be rash. Xing Yang and Xian Yu immediately advised. The two of them were anxious. They were obviously worried for Su Yun. Su Yun was startled. Looking at them, he laughed and did not say anything. In such a short period of time, it was hard to explain anything to them. Rather than that, he might as well do it himself. Once he was done, he would explain to them. All right. Let's not talk about this now. Senior Pill King, Xian Yu, Xing Yang, I'm a little tired. Can you arrange for me to rest? No problem. The Pill King nodded his head. Looking at Chen Mu Yun, he said indifferently, Mu Yun, since you're back, bring Su Yun to rest. Yes. Chen Mu Yun immediately replied. Then, she brought Su Yun away. When the two of them left, the Pill King's seemingly indifferent expression was suddenly filled with worry and heaviness. His dusky yellow eyes were filled with exhaustion. Seems like Blossom Heart Valley will not be able to escape this calamity. The Pill King muttered. Master. Xian Yu and Xing Yang called out softly. The two of you go and prepare. Inform all the disciples to pack up and leave Blossom Heart Valley immediately. Escape to the north. The Medicine King said in a low voice. Escape? Su Yun saved Mu Yun. The Southern Tiger Nation will not let us go. We are powerless to resist. If we don't leave, we will be slaughtered. Then, Master, where can we escape to? Head north. There is a deep mountain in the dark region. There are many forests and illusions. We will temporarily enter the mountain and see if we can escape to a place with no one to survive. Then, Master, what should we do with these refugees? Xian Yu looked at the people around them and asked worriedly. The Pill King hesitated for a moment. After a long while, he sighed and said softly, Tell them the truth. If they are willing to leave, then let them follow. If we bring so many refugees, I'm afraid we won't be able to go far. Xing Yang could not help but say. But Blossom Heart Valley has never left them in the lurch. Even if we can't go far, we can't abandon them. Xian Yu, Xing Yang, hurry up and do it. The Pill King said tiredly. Hearing that, the two of them became serious. They looked at each other and nodded their heads. Yes, Master. The two of them left and spread the news. The disciples of Blossom Heart Valley were all startled. It happened so suddenly that no one could accept it. Furthermore, to abandon the valley, who could bear to do so? Thus, Blossom Heart Valley was in an uproar. But Su Yun, who was walking with Chen Mu Yun, did not feel that way. Su Yun looked around and said indifferently, Elder Chen, go and rest first. I'm leaving. Leaving? Chen Mu Yun was startled. Master Su Yun, where are you going? Southern Tiger Nation. Su Yun said. Xian Er's legs tapped and she disappeared. Master Su Yun. Master Su Yun. Chen Mu Yun shouted a few words, but Su Yun had already disappeared, and no one knew where he went. Seeing that, Chen Mu Yun's heart thumped. He felt that something was wrong. Unknowingly, He had a premonition that maybe the southern continent was going to undergo an earth-shattering change. After leaving Blossom Heart Valley, Su Yun used his fastest speed to head towards the capital of the Southern Tiger Nation. Ever since the Southern Tiger Nation unified the southern continent, all the regions had been merged by him. The structure of the continent had lost its balance. Other than the north, which was slightly more peaceful, the people in the south were in deep trouble. But the Southern Tiger King was obviously not satisfied. According to Chen Muyun, the Southern Tiger King had already started to prepare an army and was prepared to devour the north, with the intention of unifying the entire Sky Martial continent. He did not know who the Southern Tiger King was, but regardless of who it was, as long as they provoked the people around Su Yun, he would not hesitate to kill them. 100 light auras shot through the sky like shooting stars. With Su Yun's full speed, rushing to the Southern Tiger Nation was just a matter of time. Not long after, he was close to the newly established capital. It was a newly constructed imperial city that was situated on top of a huge mountain. Su Yun swept his gaze across the luxurious and majestic imperial city, killing intent surfacing on his face. Through his eyes, he could see the countless corpses buried under the imperial city. Constructing the imperial city required manpower. Other than spirit cultivators, there were only ordinary people. Such a magnificent city could only rely on an endless supply of manpower. This imperial city was completely built on top of corpses. Su Yun took a deep breath and stared at the countless spirit cultivators at the gates of the imperial city. He slowly raised his hand and fiercely slapped the gate. Dong! The seemingly thick and majestic iron door instantly shattered into pieces, and an earth-shattering sound spread throughout the entire imperial city. Chapter 10:10. Su Yun's palm directly smashed the city gate into pieces, and the imperial city guards stationed at the city gate were smashed into pieces, causing everyone to be in a mess. A large number of guards rushed over, and when they saw Su Yun standing outside, they surrounded him like lightning. "Who is it? How dare you be so impudent in the Southern Tiger Country?" A commander rode a beast and walked over. Standing in front of Su Yun, he shouted condescendingly, "Don't you know where this is? Are you all spirit cultivators who follow the Southern Tiger King?" Su Yun looked at the people around him, and said indifferently, "I will only give you one chance, you all leave immediately, and leave the power of the Southern Tiger Country, how about that?" As soon as these words were said, everyone looked at each other in dismay, and then burst into laughter at the same time. Ha 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 ha. These soldiers all held their stomachs in laughter, some of them couldn't even straighten their backs. The commander on top of the mount laughed even louder. He looked at Su Yun with a mocking expression, the corner of his mouth raised into a disdainful smile. "Brainless idiot, I think you don't know where this is at all? You want us to leave? What the hell are you thinking? Forget it, take him down and lock him up first. This kind of brainless thing will always run out every few days." "Yes, sir." The other soldiers stopped laughing and walked towards Su Yun. "Hey, stinking brat, obediently surrender, don't make things difficult for us," a soldier shouted. However, Su Yun had lost his patience. He wasn't a good person to begin with, so he didn't have much pity for these people. The current him didn't treat the lives of the weak the same way he did in the past. In his eyes, the lives of humans weren't much different from ants. He raised his hand, activated a bit of profound chi, and then clenched his fist. Bang! The profound chi exploded, and a circle of air rippled out in all directions. The spirit cultivators south that were close to Su Yun were instantly pierced through by the ripples, and all of them froze, motionless, as though they were petrified. Su Yun looked at the broken city wall in the distance, and directly walked over. When he walked out of the encirclement of the spirit cultivator, a gentle breeze blew, and the spirit cultivator moved again, but it was not because they were deliberately moving their bodies, but because their bodies had actually turned into broken pieces, falling down piece by piece. Fresh blood, internal organs, and pieces of flesh fell to the ground. Not a single one of them, including the leader, was left intact. They were all dismembered. It was as easy as cutting grass. When the spirit cultivators, who were still standing on the city walls, saw this scene, they all became like statues, standing there motionlessly. Their eyes were wide open as they watched this scene in a daze. Just by moving his hand, so many spirit cultivators died. Who was that person? What was his cultivation? He's here. Run. This person is so powerful. Run. Run. When the people on the city wall saw Su Yun walk into the city gate calmly, they all ran away in panic. The commotion at the city gate quickly alarmed the imperial guards in the imperial city. After knowing that an incredible expert had arrived, the commander of the imperial guards led the imperial guards to attack Su Yun's location. Su Yun had long sensed the movements of the imperial guards, but he did not care about them at all. Instead, he directly headed towards the center of the imperial palace where the spirit cultivator was. This aura was definitely that of the Southern Tiger King. Halt! A loud shout came out from beside Su Yun's ear. Raising his head, he saw a large number of spirit cultivator arranged in front of him. There were thousands of them, and on the buildings on both sides there were a few existences with special auras. They should be the experts of the imperial city. Su Yun casually glanced around, but did not stop, and continued to walk towards the imperial palace. Everyone could only see the man dressed in black walking towards the thousands of spirit cultivators dressed in fresh clothes and furious horses. Was he crazy? Or was he an idiot? The strength of these imperial guards, no matter where they were in the sky martial continent, could not be underestimated, but this guy, not the slightest bit afraid? Kill him! The commander of the imperial guards shouted in a low voice. The imperial guards immediately collapsed like a crumbling wall, and rushed towards Su Yun. However, the moment they got close to Su Yun, a cold light suddenly flashed in front of Su Yun. Before anyone could react, they saw the imperial guards that were rushing towards Su Yun all fall to the ground. Their bodies were directly cut into pieces, and blood poured down like a waterfall. Terrified screams resounded in all directions. This scene shocked all the surrounding spirit cultivator. The commander was completely dumbfounded. Was this still something a human could do? In a breath of time, he had killed 1,000 imperial guards. Was he a god? For a moment, the surrounding spirit cultivator all ran away in panic. Their panicked shouts did not stop. Su Yun glanced at the people beside him, and did not pay much attention to them, and directly walked towards the imperial palace. None of the guards on the way were able to stop him. Not long after, he was already standing outside the palace. The palace was already cold and cheerless, corpses littered the ground along the way, and blood converged into a small river. Su Yun did not place much importance on human lives, but he did not take it lightly either. However, as the demon lord, he would definitely use iron-blooded methods to deal with existences that deserved to be killed, without the slightest bit of mercy. The people in the palace had obviously sensed that there was a supreme expert outside. Just as Su Yun arrived at the palace, the people in the palace rushed out. It was a middle-aged man with a sinister expression. He was slightly fat, had extremely long hair, and a beard on his mouth. He was dressed in luxurious clothes, and he sized up Su Yun, who was standing outside. He realized that he could not see through Su Yun's cultivation at all, and then looked at the corpses behind him. He knew that the person who came this time was definitely not an ordinary person. This was the king of the Southern Tiger Country, Wang Nanhu. Su Yun had passed through all the trials and tribulations, but there was not a single wound on his body, not even a speck of dust. He stood there very calmly, and when Wang Nanhu saw this, he already knew that his strength was definitely above his own, because the other party didn't even use much strength to walk here. If it was him, he wouldn't be able to do this either. I am Wang Nanhu. Greetings, Master. Wang Nanhu did not dare to be negligent, and immediately cupped his fists and said respectfully, "You are the king of the southern tiger country?" Su Yun said indifferently. "That's me. However, since Milord is here, there's no need to mention the position of monarch. If Milord likes it, I can hand over the position of monarch to Milord," Wang Nanhu hurriedly said, his expression already becoming respectful. "No need, I have no interest in the southern tiger country, and I think that the southern tiger country should not exist," Su Yun said indifferently, and then took out the pitch-black death sword from the sword sheath. The slender death sword exuded a demonic aura. The ice-cold sword blade was like steel needles that pierced Wang Nanhu's entire body. Wang Nanhu's face changed and anxiously said, "Master, I don't know how I have offended you, but from the looks of it, it seems like you don't plan to let Wang Nanhu go? I am originally from the Sky Martial continent, and here there are many of my friends. Your actions have already caused many of my friends to fall into misery, and some of them even lost their lives because of it, so I have to take revenge for them and end all of this," Su Yun said indifferently. "You." Hearing that, Wang Nanhu's face became extremely ugly. He clenched his teeth and said, "That means you must kill me." "Yes, I'll also use you to do something." Wang Nanhu was startled. "What is it?" "Warning." Su Yun suddenly raised his left hand, his palm grabbed out, and a suction force instantly shot out from his palm. Before Wang Nanhu could even sense it, his body involuntarily flew towards Su Yun's palm. Bada! His neck was immediately grabbed by Su Yun, and he was lifted into the air. The surging power and terrifying cultivation directly suppressed all of Wang Nanhu's abilities, and he was unable to move. Wang Nanhu felt as if he was an ant that was caught by a god. Unable to retaliate? This kind of thing did not exist from the beginning to the end. Su Yun raised the death sword and slowly placed it on Wang Nanhu's neck, his face revealing a gloomy and murderous look. This chi pervaded around Wang Nanhu's body, causing his entire body to tremble violently. Especially the coldness on the death sword's body, it actually made him feel as if his soul was being frozen. He was almost stupefied. "Warning you? What are you warning me for?" Wang Nanhu felt an unprecedented fear. To warn all those who are spying on the Sky Martial continent, this place should have its own order. Anyone who wants to establish a new order here will end up like this. Wang Nanhu panicked, he was afraid, and anxiously shouted, What cultivation level are you? Who the hell are you?" Wang Nanhu's voice trembled as he said, "The person you will never be able to look up to in your entire life." Su Yun bellowed, Xian Er's arm moved slightly, and the sharp sword suddenly moved. Poochie! Wang Nanhu's neck was directly cut by the death sword, blood spurting out from his neck like a fountain. His body fell, and Su Yun's left hand also took the opportunity to take Wang Nanhu's head. The palace once again returned to its desolation. But accompanying the desolation was the thick smell of blood. Su Yun looked at Wang Nanhu's head in his hands, his eyes flashing with a light. He leaped and disappeared into the horizon. To Su Yun, this trip was just a simple one. The southern tiger country was like a flash in the pan, suddenly appearing and disappearing in an instant. No one would know how Wang Nanhu died, but one thing would spread throughout the Sky Martial continent. This continent had actually already belonged to a peerless ranker, and before defeating this peerless ranker, no one could even dream of becoming the master of this continent. Chapter 10-11. Ever since Su Yun left, Chen Myun had been sitting uneasily in his own room. He did not know whether to stand or sit, and his heart was inexplicably flustered. From time to time, the cries of the refugees due to hunger and pain could be heard from outside the door. Just then, there was a commotion outside. Chen Myun looked over anxiously, only to see a few figures walking over. It was Pil King, Guillermo Ju, and Xingyang. Greetings, Valley Master. Chen Muyun immediately walked over and bowed. No need for formalities. Pil King nodded, then looked around and asked, "Where's Su Yun?" Su Yun, he Chen Muyun opened his mouth, but did not know how to reply. Pil King saw that Chen Muyun was stuttering, his eyes revealed a hint of suspicion, and his voice became deeper. "Mu Yun, are you hiding something from me?" "This, Elder Chen, don't worry, senior brother and Su Yun are old friends, no matter what, I will always stand by Su Yun's side, if you have anything, just tell me directly." Guillermo Ju could not help but speak up. Seeing that, Chen Mu Yun hesitated for a long time, then sighed. He bowed and cupped his fists, looking like he was asking for forgiveness. "Valley Master, Mu Yun apologizes to you, Su Yun, he went to the Southern Tiger Country." "Southern Tiger Nation?" Xingyang and Guillermo Ju exclaimed. "Why didn't you stop him?" "Su Yun left too quickly, I could not stop him, please punish me, Pil King," Chen Muyun said softly. Pil King's eyes revealed a look of astonishment. He was silent for a while, then he helped Chen Muyun up. "Mu Yun, you did not do anything wrong, and no matter what you did wrong, the people of Blossom Heart Valley will not blame you, if not for the fact that you were willing to come out and bear the calamity of the Southern Tiger Nation. How could my Blossom Heart Valley be like this today? Maybe it would no longer exist. Valley Master, since Su Yun dared to go, maybe he really has the confidence. After all, we do not know where he went after leaving Blossom Heart Valley. Maybe his current strength is not something we can imagine," Pil King said. Although he was not clear about Su Yun's current situation, but when he saw Su Yun previously, he accidentally saw the indifference in Su Yun's eyes. That was the indifference of not worrying about anything, the indifference of confidence. What kind of strength could possess such a gaze? Such a state of mind? The Pil King did not know, but he dared to make a bold guess. The current Su Yun was no longer the same as before. "Valley Master, Big Brother has gone to the Southern Tiger Nation alone. I'm afraid he'll be in danger. We must think of a way to prevent him from giving his life away for nothing." Xingyang, who was at the side, was already anxious. "Xingyang, now is not the time to be anxious. Calm down and think carefully. Is your big brother Su Yun an impulsive person?" Pil King said. But it's useless to be anxious now. Furthermore, my Blossom Heart Valley does not have the strength to go to the Southern Tiger Nation to save them. The only thing we can do now is to wait for news," Pil King said. No matter what Su Yun was going to do, at the very least, the Southern Tiger Nation would send news. Right now they did not understand anything, so it was extremely irrational to go there rashly. Hearing the Pil King's words, Xingyang's anxious expression receded a little. However, the worry in his eyes was still very obvious. Just then, there was a commotion outside the house. One after another, fearful screams and exclamations sounded out. The Pil King and the rest all turned their heads and quickly walked out. However, before they could walk out of the house, a tall figure appeared at the door. Su Yun. He was actually back. He still had the same indifferent expression. Dressed in black, he carried a huge sword sheath on his back. However, at this moment, he was holding onto a bloody head. Seeing the head, everyone's face changed. "Su Yun, are you all right?" The Pil King glanced at the head and asked softly. "I'm fine." Su Yun shook his head and laughed. Then, he handed the head over to the Pil King. "What is this?" Pil King's expression did not change. "The head of the Southern Tiger Nation's King Nan Hu," Su Yun said. As soon as these words were spoken, the room was completely silent. The Southern Tiger Nation's King Nan Hu's head? What did that mean? Could it be that Su Yun had killed the Southern Tiger Nation's king? And in such a short period of time? Everyone felt dazed. Their minds were blank. They could not think of what had happened. Especially Chen Muyun. He stared blankly at Su Yun. His sunken eyes were filled with bewilderment and disbelief. How long had it been since Su Yun left Blossom Heart Valley? In such a short period of time, according to an ordinary spirit cultivator's speed, he should still be on his way to the Southern Tiger Nation, right? However, Su Yun had already taken Wang Nanhu's head. Although no one had seen Wang Nanhu before, no one thought that Su Yun would purposely find a head to put on such a big face. What kind of person Su Yun was, the Pill King, Guillemot Ju and Xingyang were all clear. Since he had taken this head, then it must be the Southern Tiger Nation's king's head. Everyone stared blankly at the head. At that moment they felt that it was not the head that was terrifying, but the person that was holding the head. What kind of cultivation did he have to be able to do such a thing so easily? To everyone, it was a task that was harder than ascending to the heavens. Pill King stared blankly. After a while, he said softly, "Su Yun, why did you give it to me?" He was originally the ruler of the southern continent. Now that you have his head, I believe that no matter if it is the south or the north, no one will doubt Blossom Heart Valley's power. The entire Sky Martial continent will respect Blossom Heart Valley. Even if Pill King is not willing to be the master of Blossom Heart Valley, I believe you will become an unparalleled existence. Su Yun said. Unparalleled existence? Su Yun, why do you want me to do this? Pill King still did not understand Su Yun's words. He completely did not understand his intentions. Su Yun laughed and said, "Actually, it's very simple. I just want to set up a set of rules for Sky Martial Continent. This set of rules is based on Blossom Heart Valley's principles, and Blossom Heart Valley is this set of rules. Now that the Southern Tiger Country's King Nanhu has been killed, and the Blossom Heart Valley Master is holding his head, what will others think? They will definitely think that Wang Nanhu was killed by the people of Blossom Heart Valley. Then, there will definitely be strong martial artists in Blossom Heart Valley. In the future, if there are people like Wang Nanhu, Blossom Heart Valley can completely intimidate them, and make them not dare to act rashly. This is order." Hearing that, Pill King immediately understood. Su Yun wanted him to become an authoritative existence like the profound Sky Sect, to suppress all the sects in the continent, and quickly end this turbulent world. Although Su Yun's actions were rash, and not complicated, it had to be said that this method was the most direct and effective. The King Apothecary was silent. Everyone's gaze fell on him, as if waiting for his reply. "Senior brother, if it's like this, maybe our Blossom Heart Valley can no longer be alone. In the future, it will definitely be unbearably turbulent." Just then, Guillemoju said, "Blossom Heart Valley has never been alone before, it's just that we think so." Pill King said, "If we still want to continue to carry out the purpose left behind by our ancestors, we need to have new methods, not brute force, but power that we should have." With that, he extended his hand and took the head that was dripping with blood. Seeing that, Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that Pill King would reject him, but he did not expect that he would still choose the path that he provided. If that was the case, Blossom Heart Valley would no longer have any worries. No matter who wanted to touch Blossom Heart Valley, they would have to think about what happened to the Southern Tiger King. With the destruction of the Southern Tiger Country, Blossom Heart Valley would no longer have any worries. But it was not over yet. To make everyone believe that the Southern Tiger King died in the hands of Blossom Heart Valley, they still had to put on a show. Pill King used Chen Muyun as bait. Not many people knew that Chen Muyun was saved by Su Yun. Thus, Pill King sent people to spread the news that Chen Muyun was actually sent by Blossom Heart Valley. Their goal was to kill Wang Nanhu, and Wang Nanhu's head was the most convincing evidence. The news of Wang Nanhu being killed by Blossom Heart Valley was spread by Pill King. It immediately spread throughout the entire Sky Martial continent. Adding the news from the Southern Tiger Country, everyone was even more convinced of the truth. In a moment, everyone's attention towards Blossom Heart Valley reached its peak. Pill King thought that at this time, he should do something special to numb the eyes of everyone. However, Su Yun thought that it was enough to continue with the matters of Blossom Heart Valley. Everything was normal, and that was the most unusual thing. All sorts of tyrants quietly descended upon Blossom Heart Valley and quietly investigated, as though they wanted to know what the real Blossom Heart Valley was like. However, all of them were knocked unconscious by Su Yun and sent out of the valley. When they woke up, they realized that they had already been exposed, and all of them left in a panic. Since then, Blossom Heart Valley's strength had become an unsolvable mystery in the Sky Martial continent. Regardless if it was Pill King or Su Yun, they did not care about it. After Wang Nan, whose death, Blossom Heart Valley focused all of their energy on rebuilding and healing. The entire valley was extremely busy. Even Xing Yang and Xin Yu were perspiring profusely as they entered and exited. Seeing the bustling scene, Su Yun could not help but laugh. Calculating the time, it was time to leave. Xin Yu, Xing Yang, come over. Su Yun, who was standing at the passageway, looked at the man and woman walking over and shouted. The current Su Xing Yang and Su Xin Yu were no longer the naive young boys and girls that they used to be. The current them was much more mature and steady. Hearing Su Yun's call, the two of them stopped what they were doing and quickly ran over. Big brother! The two of them shouted. This voice made Su Yun indescribably moved. Chapter 10-12. Su Xing Yang's eyes were filled with worship and excitement, while Su Xin Yu's eyes seemed to be filled with endless bitterness and complexity. However, these complicated expressions were quickly hidden by her. Although Su Shintian and Shin Shueshue had lied to Su Yun, this did not mean that he, Su Yun, was alone. In this world, there were still many people he cared about, people who cared about him, people who cared about him, people who cared about him, people who cared about him. Xin Yu, Xingyang, how have you been? We've always been fine. Xingyang still had that simple and honest smile. The people of Blossom Heart Valley are all very good, especially Master. When we follow Master, we learn a lot of useful things. It's a pity that my talent is stupid. Every time Master teaches me, I can't understand much. But Sister is different. She is talented and intelligent. She can understand everything with just a little bit. Even Master praised her as a rare alchemy genius. Su Xingyang opened his mouth and said excitedly. Su Yun smiled and listened attentively. Su Xin Yu, on the other hand, stood quietly at the side, not saying a word. When Su Xingyang was almost done, he realized that his sister had not said a single word, so he immediately stopped and laughed awkwardly, then gave his sister a look. Su Xin Yu was startled. She looked at Su Yun, and anxiously lowered her head. Xin Yu, do your best. I believe that you will definitely have some achievements in the medical Tao. Su Yun took the lead and broke the awkwardness between the two. Thank you, Big Brother Yun. Su Xin Yu said softly. Su Yun looked at her, and his face was filled with suspicion. Xin Yu, do you have something to say to me? Su Xin Yu's face became complicated. She spoke hesitantly, and it was unknown what she was thinking. Su Yun was confused, and after an unknown period of time, she took a deep breath and said, Big Brother Yun. What's wrong? Su Yun looked at Su Xin Yu's face, and felt that she seemed to have mustered up all her courage, as though she had made some sort of decision. But when he looked at her, it made Su Xin Yu feel strange. She anxiously lowered her head, as though the little bit of courage she had just now had been completely destroyed by Su Yun's gaze. That. I just wanted to ask. How is Qing Er now? Su Xinyu lowered her head even more. Hearing that, Su Yun was startled, then laughed. She's not bad now, you guys don't have to worry. Where is she now? Xing Yang could not help but ask. Su Yun hesitated for a moment, then said, In the immortal world. Immortal world? When these two words fell, the two of them were dumbstruck. What is that place? A place for immortals? Could it be? Big Brother Yun and Qing have both become immortals? You're already immortals? Xing Yang was flabbergasted. Haha, not yet, we are only spirit sage cultivators. I'm still far from becoming an immortal. Su Yun laughed. He said it lightly, but he didn't know how the two felt when they heard it. Spirit sage. To the people of the martial heaven continent, he was practically a god. Such an existence could destroy the entire martial heaven continent as easily as breaking a chopstick. He didn't need to use much energy. He was no longer a legendary figure. That was because even the legendary figures of the martial heaven continent were nothing more than ants in front of such an existence. Su Xingyang and Su Xinyue felt their hearts beating crazily, as though they were about to jump out of their throats, as though their souls were about to leave their bodies. Spirit Sage. At this moment, they were talking to an existence of the Spirit Sage. Their faces turned pale, and sweat dripped down their cheek. Seeing this scene, Su Yun was puzzled. What's wrong with them? He had clearly restrained his aura, so why did they look like something was wrong? Although Su Yun had considered the pressure from his aura, he had not considered the psychological pressure from his current cultivation. Xingyang Xianyu, what's wrong with you guys? Su Yun could not help but ask. The two of them trembled and almost fell to the ground. It's nothing. Su Xingyang wiped the sweat off his forehead and immediately said. Su Xinyue pursed her lips, her eyes dim, but she did not say a word. Although the realm of the Spirit Sage seems to be very high, it does not mean that there is no chance to cultivate to such a level. No matter what, a person must have a heart to move forward. As long as they continue to move forward, it is definitely possible for them to step into this realm. Su Yun said. Although he said that, he understood that the reason why he was able to enter this realm so quickly was because of countless fortuitous encounters and luck. If it was an ordinary person, it would be impossible for them to enter this realm in such a short period of time. I never thought that Big Brother Yun would actually step into the Spirit Sage realm. Compared to Big Brother Yun, I'm afraid that even fireflies and bright moons cannot be described. At this time, the silent Su Xinyue opened her mouth, her voice filled with disappointment and sadness. Hearing that, Su Yun was startled for a moment, then reached out and heavily patted Su Xinyue's head, and said seriously, Xinyue, no matter what cultivation I have, no matter what cultivation you have, your Big Brother Yun will not despise you. You are not allowed to think like that in the future, understand? Su Xinyue closed her eyes and after a while she slowly opened them. Looking at Su Yun's serious face, she obediently nodded. Su Yun took out a few small bottles from somewhere and handed them over to the two of them. I specially prepared these pills for you, they should be helpful to your cultivation, take them first. Other than that, I also have an order badge here. Through this order badge, you can directly contact me. But because I am in the immortal world, which is separated from the sky martial continent by quite a few planes, activating this order badge will consume a lot of profound chi. If you want to contact me, you will have to ask the Pill King for help, and let him mobilize all the experts of Blossom Heart Valley to inject energy into the order badge. If the order badge reacts, I will immediately rush over. Su Yun said. With that said, Su Xinyue immediately took Su Yun's order badge and held it tightly in her hands. Su Yun looked at her strangely, only to see her lowering her head once again. Haha, we know. Big Brother Yun, are you going back to the immortal world? Su Xingyang laughed. It's about time. I'll go see a few more people and then go back. Su Yun nodded. Then, when will you return to the sky martial continent? When? Su Yun thought for a while, then smiled. When I bring Qing Air back, I will live here with her. Live here? Su Xinyue suddenly raised her head, her dim eyes lit up, she anxiously asked. Big Brother, you're saying you're going to live here? Don't tell me you're not going to stay in the immortal world in the future? That is a troublesome place, but I don't want to be a troublesome person. The sky martial continent is still peaceful. Hearing that, Su Xinyue immediately smiled. This change simply made Su Yun and Xing Yang scratching their heads in confusion. Alright, Xianyu, Xing Yang, it's getting late, I should go. Aren't you going to inform Master? I've already informed him. The two of you take care, wait for me to return. Su Yun waved his hand, then took a step back. Big brother Yun, you have to take care of yourself too. Su Xinyue and Xing Yang said at the same time. Su Yun nodded, smiled, and then his body dimmed down. Seeing that, the two of them were shocked, but thinking about Su Yun's strength, they felt relieved. After leaving the Blossom Heart Valley, Su Yun immediately rushed towards the Immortal Sword sect that was not far away. The Blossom Heart Valley was located at the border of the Julian region and the Great Cyan region, so it would not take much time to travel from the Blossom Heart Valley to the Immortal Sword sect. After the people of the Immortal Sword sect left the ultimate martial world, they returned to their own sect. However, ever since they returned from the Emperor Palace, the Immortal Sword sect had closed their doors to cultivate, and did not participate in the matters of the Southern Tiger Nation. What was strange was that the Southern Tiger Nation did not make things difficult for the Immortal Sword sect, causing many people to guess if there was some kind of connection between the Immortal Sword sect and the Southern Tiger Nation. Just that, Su Yun was not interested in this, and even the Immortal Sword sect, he was not interested in it either. He came here only for one person, Long Xianli. When he was near the Immortal Sword mountain range, Su Yun stopped, activated the Imperial Battle Robe on his body, activated his god power, and felt the qi emitted by all the existences in all directions. Although Long Xianli had left for a long time, he still clearly remembered her smell. Thinking back to the time when he was with her in the Su family, it was a memory that he would never be able to erase. For some reason, Su Yun always had an indescribable feeling towards Long Xianli. This feeling was extremely complicated, causing him to inadvertently think of her. This was something that even Hu Qianmei and Su Qing'er could not compare to. Found it! Su Yun opened his eyes, his face revealing a look of joy. He immediately flew towards a small mountain in the distance. This was a mountain that was covered in greenery and overgrown with flowers. The flowers and plants on the mountain all seemed to have spirituality, and halfway up the mountain, there was an exquisite grass hut. The grass hut was surrounded by a fence, and there were no enchantments set up, nor were there any array seals. It was just like the simplest grass hut. Su Yun flew over and landed in front of the straw hut. He was excited. The inside of the straw hut was filled with Long Xianli's smell. This must be it. Long Xianli must be here. Su Yun could not hold it in any longer, and immediately walked into the house. Creak. The bamboo door was pushed open. However, there was no one in the house. Whiz! Just then, the sound of something tearing through the air came out, and a man on a flying sword quickly rushed over. When he got close to the straw hut, he immediately saw Su Yun standing in front of the straw hut. The man quickly landed, frowned and looked at Su Yun, then shouted, "Who are you?" Chapter 10:13. Who? Su Yun frowned, his gaze staring at the young man who was flying over. The man was extremely good-looking, wheat-colored skin, sharp eyebrows, bright eyes, 8 feet tall, extremely heroic, adding on the yellow and white striped blade master clothes. He gave off a powerful and domineering aura. From his posture, he should be from the Immortal Sword sect. Just that, why would someone from the Immortal Sword sect come here? This guy, could it be that he knows Long Xianli? Who are you? Su Yun did not answer the man, but raised his head and stared at him, and asked back. Unknowingly, Su Yun felt a little nervous, and the way he looked at the man became more serious. The man seemed to be unable to endure Su Yun's strange gaze, his eyebrows twitched, his face revealing a sense of alertness. I am from the Immortal Sword Sect, the direct disciple of the Immortal Sword Sect's sect leader. What about you? What are you doing here? If you are just a mountain traveler, I advise you to leave quickly. This is not an ordinary place. Ordinary people better not step in, if not you will get into trouble. Don't blame me for not warning you," the man said indifferently. Hearing that, Su Yun was not in a hurry to reply. Instead, he turned and looked around, and said indifferently, "Where is Long Xianli? You know Xianli?" The man's expression tensed up, and when he looked at Su Yun again, his eyes were filled with seriousness. "Where is she now?" Su Yun frowned and asked indifferently. "It has nothing to do with you, right?" The man snorted and said softly, "Stinking brat, I don't care who you are, you better leave quickly, if not, don't blame me for being impolite." Hearing Su Yun talk about Long Xianli, the man knew that Su Yun and Long Xianli knew each other, and naturally became nervous. This place should not be in the Immortal Sword Sect's territory, right? Furthermore, this is Long Xianli's place, it should be a private house. Whether I can stay here or not, it should not be up to you, but Long Xianli, isn't that right? Su Yun said indifferently, and walked to a stone table in front of the grass hut and sat down, with a leisurely look. As for the young man, he did not care at all. Seeing him like that, the man was angered to death. "You obviously know that I am from the Immortal Sword Sect, but you still dare to be so arrogant, despicable fellow. Even the people from the Southern Tiger Nation do not dare to treat me like this. Do you know who's talking to you? Get up. Kneel." The man's voice was filled with anger, his face was filled with anger. He walked in front of Su Yun and shouted loudly. His voice was like a roar. Su Yun raised his eyebrows. Seeing the man's nervous heart, his previously nervous heart suddenly relaxed. He heaved a sigh of relief and leaned comfortably against the back of the stone chair. He didn't say anything else, nor did he waste his breath. Instead, he closed his eyes as if he was taking a nap. Su Yun's condescending look had truly angered that person. What kind of person am I, Li Yutong? How noble was his status? Where did this bastard come from? How dare you ignore me like this? Damn it! No matter who he is, even if he is from the Southern Tiger Nation, I will not let him go. The man thought angrily in his heart. He roared and pulled out the sharp sword from his waist. Raising the sword, he pointed it at Su Yun's face and said angrily, "Didn't you hear what I said? Get up. Hurry up and get up." With that said, the young man called Li Yutong immediately waved his sword, and cut the stone table in front of Su Yun into two. The messy sword chi shot out in all directions as the stone table was cut. Maybe to the people of the Sky Martial Continent, the sword chi was extremely terrifying, but to Su Yun, it was like the wind beside his ears, it had no effect. Su Yun continued to sit in his original position, he did not even look at the man. He chose to ignore his words and actions. However, Su Yun did not say anything wrong, but it was the best sharp blade, completely infuriating the other party. Ah! The man was already furious, Su Yun's actions had completely angered him. He could no longer control his emotions. Whiz! The sharp sword followed the man's movements and fiercely slashed towards Su Yun's neck, the sword chi completely enveloping his body. However, the sharp sword and sword chi rushed towards Su Yun's body, but nothing happened. Su Yun continued to sit there with his eyes closed, and did not bother with this guy at all. Su Yun was so calm and collected, but it caused the man to be stunned. This furious strike of mine actually didn't cause any injury to him at all? This guy's body. What was it made of? What was his cultivation level? Who was it? Seeing that his sword could not break through the other party's body, the man finally understood why the guy in front of him dared to ignore him. It was because he could not even enter the other party's eyes. So it's an expert. Humph, no wonder you dare to be so arrogant. The man kept his sword and took half a step back. He stared at Su Yun coldly and became more careful with his words. If he did not pay attention, he would meet an iron plate today. Before my mood completely turns bad, quickly disappear from my sight. Just then, Su-yun opened his eyes and said in a low voice, You dare to say that to me? Don't think that just because you are stronger than me, you can do whatever you want. Let me tell you, I am from the Immortal Sword sect. If you offend me, you will offend the entire Immortal Sword sect. The man said. This was the territory of the Immortal Sword sect. No matter how strong he was, he could not fight against a sect. Hearing that, Su-yun immediately looked at him and asked, Really? You probably don't understand my identity, that's why you are so ignorant. Seeing that Su-yun finally looked at him, the man was happy and his face revealed a bit of pride. But in the next second, Su-yun stood up. He pulled out a few yellow leaves from the grass hut behind him. These leaves wriggled in his hands as though they were alive. Then, the leaves tied themselves together and formed a long grass rope. The man's face changed. He felt that something was wrong. Su-yun suddenly raised his hand and grabbed his neck. Before he could react, he flew over uncontrollably and was directly grabbed by Su-yun's neck. Ugh! The man shouted with all his might, Let me go! He continued to struggle, but no matter how much strength he used, he was unable to pry open Su-yun's hands that were grabbing his neck. These two hands were like iron pincers. No matter how he tried, he could not move it away. Just then, Su-yun picked up the grass rope and directly tied him up. He hung him on a big tree that grew on the side of the cliff. The man's face was deathly pale as he frantically shook the rope. However, the rope, which looked like it was made from ordinary leaves, was unbelievably hard. Even if he used all his strength, it would be difficult for him to break the rope. Bastard! Let me go! Quickly let me go! The man's voice was hoarse and his eyes were red. But his words were useless. Su-yun sat in front of the stone table with his eyes closed. He quietly waited. The man did not expect that his words would be ignored by Su-yun again. Not only did he ignore him, he became even worse. This was simply ignoring the Immortal Sword sect. Su-yun was not in the mood to ask who this guy was or what his relationship with Long Xianli was. He only cared about Long Xianli now. Since this was Long Xianli's house, she would definitely come. The man was still wailing and screaming, but Su-yun completely ignored him. Because of this, the originally quiet and secluded hilltop became noisy. Whiz! Just then, the sound of something tearing through the air came from afar. Following that, a figure stepped on a flying sword and flew over quickly. The beautiful figure standing on the flying sword saw the situation from afar. Seeing Li Yutong, who was hung up, the beautiful figure was clearly startled. However, what she was more concerned about was the man sitting on the stone table with his eyes closed. The beautiful figure stood rooted to the ground, probably in disbelief, unable to believe the scene in front of her. She rubbed her eyes with all her might. Her actions were extremely cute. After a long while, she finally believed that everything in front of her was impossible. Su-yun, Long Xianli said absent-mindedly. Long Xianli, long time no see. Su-yun opened his eyes and said with a smile. Long Xianli stepped on her flying sword and descended. Her eyes were like iron pieces attracted by magnets, tightly locking onto Su-yun's body. Li Yutong, who was hung up, felt that something was wrong with Long Xianli today. In the past, she was always quiet and serene, like a beautiful jade that had transcended the mortal world, and did not belong to this ordinary world. He did not know when she appeared here, but Li Yutong knew that she was from the Immortal Sword sect, because the Immortal Sword sect's sect leader had warned the sect many times not to disturb Long Xianli. As for the reason, no one knew. Li Yutong naturally did not know either, but unintentionally, he met Long Xianli, and understood that his heart had been completely taken away by Long Xianli. Although he knew that a beauty like Long Xianli was not something an ordinary person could have, he did not care. He believed that with his own hard work, coupled with his own identity in this world, there was nothing that he could not obtain. Thus, he would come to the grass hut every day, hoping to get close to her. However, after coming for 2 months, Long Xianli was still the same Long Xianli, ignoring him. He gradually felt that he had lost his patience, but Long Xianli was here, and he believed that she would not run away. He decided to think of a way to improve his relationship with Long Xianli. The son of the wealthy city's city lord was getting married, and he was invited to participate in the wedding. The wealthy city's city lord was a truly wealthy person, and to be able to form a relationship with him, he would benefit for the rest of his life, and he would not have to worry about food and clothing. Liu Tong decided to invite Long Xianli to go with him. Although she did not know the wealthy city lord, if he explained it to her clearly, he believed that she would definitely be moved. From this grass hut, he could tell that Long Xianli was not a wealthy person in this world who did not love money. However, before Liu Tong could do what he wanted to do, he met Su Yun, this demon. Chapter 10:14. Su Yun slowly opened his sword eyes and looked at Long Xianli quietly. Liu Tong struggled for a while, then turned his head to look at Su Yun and Long Xianli. He thought that Long Xianli would continue to maintain her indifferent attitude, and then use her disgusting attitude to stand up for him. Since he was in such a sorry state, anyone could tell that it was done by Su Yun, and Long Xianli was considered a person of the Immortal Sword sect, so she would most likely side with him. However, Long Xianli's following actions made Liu Tong unable to believe his own eyes. Long Xianli, who had a calm face, suddenly walked over, stood in front of Su Yun, and bellowed, "What are you doing here?" That tone was even more intimate. "Why can't I be here? Is it interesting for you to not stay in the ultimate martial world and come here? This place was originally just a boring place, but with you here, it became interesting." "You bastard, are you saying I'm interesting?" Long Xianli was infuriated. Her fist immediately flew towards Su Yun's head, but before her fist could land on Su Yun's head, it was grabbed by a strong hand. The big hand was Su Yun's. The two of them faced each other, their bodies extremely close. It was extremely ambiguous. Long Xianli's white cheeks flushed red, she anxiously struggled. But how strong was Su Yun? The difference in cultivation between the two of them was too big. She could not resist Su Yun at all. Liu Tong's eyes were as wide as a cow's. He did not dare believe the scene before him. The usually cold Long Xianli would actually reveal such an attitude. "Let me go." Long Xianli clenched her teeth and said, "Xianli, why did you come to Sky Martial Continent?" Su Yun grabbed Long Xianli's wrist and asked seriously, "It has nothing to do with you." "How can it have nothing to do with me? I am me, you are you. Why do you have to be so nosy? Just take good care of your senior sister. She is dead set on following you, and has already poured her entire life into you. You cannot let her down." Long Xianli pretended to be calm and said, "Is that so?" Su Yun's heart felt pain. This was not the first time she had said this, but every time she said this, Su Yun would always have an inexplicable feeling of heartache. Long Xianli seemed to have noticed the subtle change in Su Yun. She opened her mouth, but did not say anything. However, in the next second, Su Yun suddenly let go of Long Xianli's wrist. He stood up straight and stared at Long Xianli. Seeing the other party's attitude, Long Xianli's face flushed red, her eyes filled with panic, and anxiously asked, "What's wrong with you?" "Xianli, you, how have you been?" Su Yun seemed to want to say something, but as soon as he said it, he hurriedly changed his words. Long Xianli's heart skipped a beat, but hearing him say such words, she could only tilt her head and said indifferently, "Isn't that so? I'm just passing my days peacefully." "Then, come back with me, okay?" Su Yun. "I, Long Xianli, don't seem to have such a good relationship with you. Go back with you? Back to where?" Who am I to you? Long Xianli snorted and said. With that said, Su Yun was completely stumped. After thinking about it carefully, Su Yun realized that his words were too sudden. He took a light breath, nodded and sighed. Xianli, are you angry at me? Why would I be angry with you? Let's not talk about this first. Hurry up and put that guy down. Long Xianli saw Su Yun's defeated look and secretly laughed, but he did not reveal it. Instead, he stared at Liu Tong and said with a serious expression. Su Yun turned his head to look at Liu Tong and asked, Who is this person? It's the sect leader's new disciple. Lin Shishan's eyesight is getting worse and worse. How did he take a fancy to someone with such talent? No matter what, I have some connections with the Immortal Sword sect. As long as this person doesn't go too far, I won't do anything to him. He comes to harass you like this every day. Can you tolerate it? Su Yun said unhappily. That little bit of noise of his is not enough to harass me. I don't care. Xianli, you are worried about the Immortal Sword sect, but I am different. Su Yun casually took out a sword from the sword sheath and walked towards Liu Tong, who was hung up, his mouth revealing a sinister smile. Let me cut him into 8 pieces, let's see how he will bother you in the future? Huh! Hearing that, Liu Tong was so scared that his face turned pale white, his soul almost left his body. He anxiously shouted, Don't kill me! Don't kill me! Long Xianli originally wanted to say something, but upon seeing the playful look in Su Yun's eyes, she stopped talking and did not say anything else. She just quietly watched from the side. Don't kill you? Humph, stinking brat, do you know who this woman is? You actually dare to harass her every day? How can I not kill you? Su Yun pretended to be fierce and said, She is my Immortal Sword sect senior. I am just here to pay a visit to senior, Liu Tong immediately said. But just as he finished speaking, Su Yun kicked him, causing him to be in a daze and almost fainted. What senior? She is my dual cultivation companion. I don't care if she is from the Immortal Sword sect or not. Let me tell you, from today onwards, no one is allowed to harass her. If not, I will teach them a lesson. Su Yun shouted angrily. With that said, Long Xianli's white face immediately turned red, her voice trembling as she anxiously shouted, Su Yun, what nonsense are you spouting? Su Yun originally wanted to joke, but seeing Long Xianli's cautious and anxious look, his heart could not help but feel playful, and immediately pretended to be extremely serious, and sternly said, What nonsense are you spouting? I am speaking the truth. Xianli, be my dual cultivation companion. You. Long Xianli's pair of bright eyes were filled with astonishment. She could not believe what she had just heard. After being stunned for a moment, she stammered, You! Don't tell me that you came to Sky Martial Continent just for this? Of course. I refuse. Long Xianli replied almost immediately. This time, it was Su Yun's turn to be shocked. Why? Senior sister is still waiting for you. How can you think of other women? Although Spirit Cultivator can have many dual cultivation companions, I believe that Senior Sister will definitely not be willing. If Senior Sister were to find another dual cultivation companion, how would you feel? So, you should quickly go back and treat Senior Sister well. Long Xianli took a deep breath, closed her eyes and said, Are your words from the bottom of your heart? Su Yun turned his head and looked at Long Xianli seriously. He already had the cultivation of a spirit sage, and through looking at his face, his mood was still very relaxed. He knew that Long Xianli's words were actually not sincere. However, Long Xianli took a deep breath and nodded her head seriously. Su Yun was startled, an indescribable feeling surged in his heart. He took a light breath, looked at Long Xianli's bright eyes that were suffused with a bit of light, smiled and said, If you are like this, your senior sister will not know. Don't you think that sometimes you give up so much but no one knows it's meaningless? It's enough for me to know. Do you really like to be unknown? This is not being unknown, but I am willing, Long Xianli said. Hearing that, Su Yun lowered his head and did not say a word. After a long while, he snapped his fingers, and the grass rope that was binding Li Yutong untied itself. Li Yutong fell down, and in the air, he anxiously took out his sharp sword and flew, finally stabilizing his body. However, he did not stop, nor did he stay any longer. He immediately stepped on his flying sword and left. Looking at the sinister look in his eyes when he left, it was obvious that Li Yutong did not plan to give up. Su Yun did not bother about Li Yutong. In his opinion, an existence like Li Yutong was not a threat to him at all. Today, I came here just to see how you have been recently, there is no other intention. Xianli, you do not need to think too much, seeing that you are safe and sound, I am relieved. Su Yun stood up, took a deep breath and said indifferently. Long Xianli pursed her lips, but did not say a word. Su Yun turned around. Are you leaving? Yes. Where to? The ultimate martial world, or the immortal world? Immortal world? Long Xianli did not know what kind of place it was, but she knew that it was most likely a place that she could not reach. Sky Martial Continent, is it not good? I still have unfinished things to do. Is that so? Long Xianli bit her lower lip. She wanted to say something, but when the words reached her mouth, she swallowed them back. The two of them did not make a sound, and the place fell into a dead silence. The atmosphere was solemn, and it was especially awkward. Just at this time, the sound of air breaking came out from the horizon. Following that, a large number of figures on flying swords rushed over. Su Yun and Long Xianli looked, and realized that all of them were from the Immortal Sword sect, and the person leading them was Li Yutong, who had just left. They were not far from the Immortal Sword sect, and these people came very quickly. They rushed over and immediately surrounded Su Yun tightly, all of them holding onto their swords, the tips of their swords pointed at Su Yun. Audacious maniac, you actually dare to come to the Immortal Sword sect and behave atrociously. You are truly seeking death. Senior Long, do not worry with us here, this person will not be able to harass you. All of the disciples berated loudly. Harass? Su Yun was startled. Long Xianli was also stunned, but when the two of them saw Li Yutong's complacent face, they immediately understood what was going on. Fellow senior brothers, stop talking nonsense, quickly kill this person. Not only did he speak rudely to my Immortal Sword sect, he even insulted Senior Long. If this matter were to spread, where would my Immortal Sword sect's face go? Li Yutong spoke again. But Long Xianli became anxious and shouted loudly. All of you stop, all of you scram, quickly! Scram? Since they are here, how can we let them leave? Su Yun was not in a good mood. He stared at the surrounding Immortal Sword sect disciples, and smiled. But the few of you are too weak, it's not interesting for me to play with you. If you don't mind, please invite your Immortal Sword sect leader to come out and see me, okay? These words made everyone confused, but in the next second, Su Yun held onto his black sword, his eyes staring sharply at the mountain peak in the distance, and suddenly waved. Hua Lei's sharp sword transformed into a gigantic sword image and cut down the entire mountain peak. Chapter 10-15. The gigantic buildings of the Immortal Sword sect were immediately split into two, the sword images rippled, the mountain was cut open, the entire sword sect was in an uproar, they all rode on their flying swords and flew out of the sword sect. What happened? What's going on? Cries of alarm rang out incessantly. Everyone panicked and fled like headless flies. At the same time, Lin Shishan, who was inside the formation, instantly leapt out. He shouted loudly, and with a swift movement, he raised his sword and charged towards them. To be able to split the mountain peak of the Immortal Sword sect with a single sword, how terrifying was that sword! Lin Shishan had seen the world before, and when he felt the turbulent qi, He knew that the person who came was not an ordinary person. He did not dare let the elders of the Immortal Sword sect gather the disciples, afraid that he would anger the master, so he led a few higher-ups and directly rushed towards Long Xianli's location. As he approached, Lin Xishan saw Li Yutong and the others from afar. At this moment, all of them seemed to have been petrified, surrounding a man dressed in black. All of them had astonished expressions, while the man had a calm expression, like an ancient well without ripples, giving him the demeanor of an expert. The source of the qi came from here. It was impossible for Li Yutong and the rest to unleash such a terrifying sword qi. In other words, the one who split the Immortal Sword sect in half, was this man dressed in black? Yutong, what are you doing? Stop right now. Lin Xishan stepped forward and shouted loudly. Li Yutong and the rest regained their senses, their entire bodies trembling, thinking about the terrifying sword strike just now. Li Yutong and the rest could not even hold on to the weapons in their hands, all of them trembling as they retreated. Their eyes looking at Su Yun were already filled with fear. What kind of person could unleash such a world-destroying attack? It was probably the legendary immortal god, right? Sect leader, master. When Li Yutong and the rest saw who it was, they immediately kept their swords and bowed their heads. Lin Xishan glanced at them, then turned to look at Su Yun. She cupped her fists and bowed, and said respectfully, I am Immortal Sword sect leader Lin Xishan. I wonder who Senior is. Has our sect offended Senior in any way? Lin Xishan, long time no see. I never thought that after so many years, the Immortal Sword sect is still the Immortal Sword sect. There are countless of parasites, and the sect is extremely clumsy. Su Yun turned and said indifferently. Lin Xishan was startled. He carefully stared at Su Yun's face for a long time, then suddenly changed, as though he had seen a ghost. He exclaimed, You are Su Yun? Sect leader Lin actually still remembers me, Su Yun said calmly. Hearing that, Lin Xishan's heart started to beat violently. It was actually Su Yun. Who was this guy? How could he not know? He was an unfathomable existence in the ultimate martial world, and if he was placed in the sky martial continent, he would be an unreachable and powerful person. No one knew what was going on. Why would the Immortal Sword sect provoke such a person? Lin Xishan's face turned ugly. He hated Li Yutong to the core. This guy had pushed the Immortal Sword sect into a pit of fire. Su Yun was originally prepared to continue making things difficult for Lin Xishan, but just at that moment, Long Xianli took a step forward, tugged on Su Yun's clothes, and said softly, Su Yun, enough is enough. You swung your sword at the top of Immortal Sword Sect's mountain. If you want to vent your anger, isn't that enough? Are you pleading for them? Su Yun retracted his gaze and looked at Long Xianli. Long Xianli hesitated for a moment, then lowered his head and did not speak. Seeing that, Su Yun sighed in his heart. Actually, no matter what happened, no matter what she became, Long Xianli was still the same Long Xianli. Her original intention would never change. Even if her current strength was not something the people of the Immortal Sword sect could imagine, she was still the same. Su Yun took a deep breath, and his heart started to ripple. Xianli, I never planned to make things difficult for the Immortal Sword sect. Since you have already spoken, then let's forget about this matter. Su Yun said indifferently. Long Xianli pursed her lips, looked at Su Yun for a moment, then said in a low voice, Thank you. It's getting late, I should go. Return to the ultimate martial world. Yes. If you see Senior Sister, please send my regards to her. Don't worry, I will. Su Yun stared at Long Xianli's exquisite little face for a while, then finally turned and planned to leave. In truth, he had 1,000 things he wanted to say to Long Xianli, but for some reason, he felt that the time was not right, or perhaps it was too abrupt to say it now. Could it be that he did not have enough time to get used to it? He sighed, took a step forward, and leaped into the sky. Su Yun. Just then, Long Xianli, who was below, suddenly cried out. Su Yun was startled. He looked over, only to see Long Xianli standing quietly in front of the straw hut, looking at him with a serious face. "What's wrong, Xianli?" Su Yun asked indifferently. "If you come again next time, bring senior sister along. I want to see her." Long Xianli turned her head and said. Hearing that, Su Yun was startled. He did not understand what Long Xianli meant. If it was really just a thought, she could have gone to the ultimate martial world by herself. But at the moment Su Yun would not delve too deeply into this, so he nodded and said, "All right, Xianli, you have to take care of yourself. You should have kept the order badge I gave you before, right? If anything happens, you can contact me at any time." "Yes." Long Xianli nodded. Seeing that, Su Yun rushed forward and disappeared into the horizon. On this trip to the Sky Martial Continent, Su Yun's original goal was only to find the nameless Devil Cultivator's corpse, but the nameless Devil Cultivator's corpse had already disappeared, so he temporarily went to various places to reminisce with his family. After everything was done, Su Yun naturally rushed back to the immortal world. After all, the current environment of the immortal world was not ideal, and there was still Su Qinger who was trapped in a mess, unable to escape. Su Yun originally wanted to go to the true devil realm to see the sect master again and ask him about the reason for the devil blood in his body. However, the immortal world kept sending urgent messages, making it hard for him to breathe. The number of people who had entered the gate to the immortal realm was increasing, and their strength was also increasing. The experts of the immortal court, who had been fighting for several months, finally showed signs of fatigue, and were starting to be unable to hold on any longer. The people of the immortal court were also people, and there was a limit to them. Such a high-intensity work was truly beyond their imagination, and more experts of the immortal court revealed gaps, allowing the people of the myriad realms to break through the blockade and enter the immortal world. If there were only a few hundred or even a few thousand spirit cultivators, the people of the immortal world would not even care about them. He believed that no one in the sects of the immortal world would care about them. However, the current situation was that this phenomenon had not been stopped, and it was even getting more and more intense. Right now, there were already thousands of spirit cultivators entering the immortal world, so what would happen after a while? What would happen? Would there be over 100,000 spirit cultivators? Or even hundreds of thousands or millions of people? If that was the case, then it would not only affect the order of the immortal world, but also the order of the entire myriad realms. Once the order of the immortal world was destroyed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Without a doubt, this operation must have been premeditated. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people from the myriad realms charging towards the gate to the immortal realm without any reason. Regardless of whether they were bewitched or blinded by benefits, this time, it would definitely not end so easily. After Su Yun returned to the immortal seeking sect, the Round Demon immediately reported the current situation to Su Yun. Ever since the chaos at the immortal sect, the immortal court has focused almost all of its energy on the immortal sect. As for the matter of us subduing the great Linglong Palace, they did not go over to investigate too much. They only followed the procedure and gave up. However, this does not mean that the immortal court is powerless. 2 days ago, the immortal court had already issued a spirit-gathering order to the 3 immortal sects in the immortal world. These 3 immortal sects received the spirit-gathering order, and all sent experts to help the immortal court. With the help of these 3 immortal sects, the pressure on the immortal court will be greatly reduced. The Round Demon said, "Do you know why the people of the myriad realms are crazily rushing towards the immortal realm? I've already sent a large number of experts to investigate. I believe it won't be long before there are results." The Round Demon said. "So it's like that," Su Yun rubbed his chin. "Lord Demon Lord, the current situation is actually not good for us, because there are thieves coming out of the gate to the immortal realm, causing the people of the immortal court to send immortals everywhere to search for the people of the myriad realms that have entered the immortal realm. Right now, the number of people is not large, so the people sent by the immortal court are not large, but once the number of people increases, the power they send will also increase. At this time, the round demon said worriedly. Hearing that, Su Yun immediately understood the worries of the round demon. Right now, the immortal court was capturing the people of the myriad realms that had infiltrated the immortal realm, and in reality, most of the people in the immortal seeking sect were like this. Once they found out about the immortal seeking sect, they wouldn't even have a place to escape. Does the immortal court still have that much power to investigate this? Xiangyang told me before that the immortal court can use the spirit gathering token to borrow power from every immortal sect. Anyone who receives the spirit gathering token must form a usable force for the immortal court in the shortest amount of time possible. If it really reaches that point, the immortal court will definitely issue the spirit gathering token to the other immortal sects. The round demon said. Hearing that, Su Yun was startled. He immediately smiled, and the worry on his face disappeared by more than half. I understand, there's no need to worry anymore, let's focus on the great Linglong Palace. The more chaotic the immortal world is, the more likely it is that the danger will exceed our imagination. We need to have more power to protect ourselves. No matter what conspiracy is brewing at the gate of the immortal realm, all we can do is face everything and overcome everything. Chapter 10:16. If he was worried that the immortal seeking sect would be investigated, it would not be a big problem. He could just let the Great Linglong Palace send an application to the immortal court to investigate the surrounding sects of the immortal seeking sect, and at the same time, wash the immortal seeking sect clean. However, Su Yun's current focus was not on this, but the endless stream of people coming in from the gate of the immortal realm. Elder Yuan Mo, how is the Great Linglong Palace? Su Yun asked. Everything is going according to plan. Now, all the elders of the Great Linglong Palace are completely under our control and are loyal to us. As long as we control them, the disciples will not leave. After the death of Kuei Yang, a series of turmoil occurred in the Great Linglong Palace. Now that everything has calmed down, I have specially asked the Great Linglong Palace to temporarily stop the recruitment of external disciples. All the elders will do their best to pacify the disciples during this period of time before selecting a new palace master. Bring the Great Linglong Palace back on track. Very good. Su Yun nodded. He had always been at ease with the Yuan Mo. After this incident, I believe that Qin Qianlong and Xing Bai will be dead set on me. After all, even Kuei Yang died in my hand. Su Yun said. Report. Right at this moment, a shout suddenly sounded from outside. Su Yun raised his head and saw a devil cultivator dressed as a disciple of the immortal seeking sect walking in quickly and kneeling in front of Su Yun. What happened? Su Yun's face darkened and asked. Reporting to Master, this subordinate is in charge of monitoring the Peerless sect. Recently, there have been a large number of people from other sects quietly approaching the Peerless sect. This subordinate is worried that there will be some heresy, so I came here to report to Master. People from other sects are approaching the Peerless sect. Hearing that, Su Yun's face changed. Do you know which sect they are from? I don't know, some of them are deliberately hiding their strength, but there are some who do not know the immensity of heaven and earth, and actually want to infiltrate the Peerless sect. I don't know what they are preparing to do, but before they could even pass through the enchantment, they were discovered by the patrolling disciples. Most of them were killed on the spot, and a few were captured. So it's actually like this, Master, this kind of thing has not been stopped. These few days, it has been happening frequently. I dare to boldly guess that these people are not together, but they have the same goal, and this goal is in the Peerless sect. The man said. Hearing that, Su Yun nodded his head and said in a deep voice, quickly return to Peerless Sect and keep an eye on them. If there are any movements, inform me immediately. Yes. The demonic cultivator cupped his fists, then turned around and retreated. When Su Yun and the Round Demon heard this, their faces became serious. The same goal? Isn't that Ching-er? In the entire Peerless Sect, perhaps only Ching-er, who could turn a mortal into a god in an instant, could cause countless people to go crazy over her. Hearing this news, Su Yun was already more than half confident that the movement of the gate to the immortal realm was related to Su Ching. What kind of person would have such a great ability? How could he mobilize so many people from the myriad worlds to come to the immortal world to die? Did they rely on magic or verbal bewitchment? Sir, do we need to do anything? The Round Demon asked. Although Su Yun did not deliberately say it, the Round Demon still knew a little about it. Nothing could happen to the Peerless Sect, at least, nothing could happen to some people in the Peerless Sect. This was what Su Yun hoped for. For the time being, don't act rashly. The Immortal Court has yet to issue the Spirit Gathering Order, which means that they still have some strength left. The Peerless Sect cannot cause a ruckus, not to mention that the Peerless Sect's own strength is not weak. How can it be a place where ordinary immortals can behave atrociously? Let's wait and see, and do our own thing first, Su Yun said. Hearing that, the Round Demon nodded. In this period of time, Su Yun had been immersed in his own cultivation and the development and integration of the Great Ling Long Palace. Towards everything else, he was no longer as concerned as before. At this moment, he had completely walked out of his daze and had his own goal. Ever since he had separated from Su Shintian, Shun Xueshue and the others, Su Yun had completely retracted his heart, and no longer thought about those troublesome things. The operation of the Great Ling Long Palace was much smoother than he had imagined. The Great Ling Long Palace was incomparably huge, but the previous management system had a huge drawback, and Su Yun had taken advantage of this loophole. Because the Dali Linglong Palace was huge and had many disciples, the elders were in charge. The Vice Palace Lord was in charge of the elders, while the Vice Palace Lord was in charge of the Palace Lord's orders. Such a system caused many disciples to have very little contact with the Palace Lord. Most of the time, they were in contact with the elders. As a result, most of the disciples' feelings towards the Dali Linglong Palace were built on the elders. This made it even more convenient for Su Yun to take over the Great Ling Long Palace. There were many treasures in the Great Ling Long Palace, and there were countless pills and equipment used for cultivation, especially the Linglong Kai, this powerful divine object that could increase a person's mental state. It was hard to believe its power. If the Imperial Battle Robe was a terrifying divine object that could completely protect one's physical body, then the Linglong Kai was a terrifying divine object that could protect one's mental state and heal one's mental state. Su Yun specially went to the Great Linglong Palace these few days to look for the secretary regarding the Linglong Kai, wanting to understand this divine object better. Just think, if he could easily control the Linglong Kai, coupled with the Imperial Battle Robe, to what extent would his fighting strength increase? These two items could be said to complement each other. When Su Yun used the Imperial Battle Robe, he was already a pseudo-invincible. Other than mental illusions, no other methods could harm him, and with the addition of the exquisite Kai, his mental state and spirit would also become extremely strong. Wouldn't that mean that he was already completely invincible? Would the world allow such an existence to exist? Su Yun did not know. He tried to control the Linglong Kai, and realized that the magic treasure was not difficult to control, but it did not have the ability to take the initiative to attack, and could only be used for healing and defense. However, what was pleasantly surprising was that the strong mental boost given by the Linglong Kai was able to push one's cultivation forward. Combined with the effects of the Imperial Battle Robe and the countless immortal coins, Su Yun's cultivation increased explosively once again, directly stepping into the first stage of the spirit profound immortal realm, and stepping into the realm of immortals. After occupying the immortal seeking sect, the Carefree Hall, the Hidden Dragon Hall and the Great Ling Long Palace, Su Yun had started to organize the resources for his own cultivation. As long as he could use the good cultivation resources, he would not let go of them. He understood that the only thing that could protect everything in this world was power, and he did not want the tragic experience of his previous life to happen again. After stepping into the immortal realm, everything in the human body had undergone an earth-shattering change. The human body already possessed spirituality. Every bone, flesh, hair, and hair seemed to have their own unique life. Not only that, immortals were able to communicate with all living things, and the people in this realm were no longer limited to the human race, but included all the demons, devils, ghosts, monsters, beasts, and so on. Any existence that possessed life, immortals could communicate with them, and they all belonged to that type. This was a type of large success, and also a type of complete transformation and evolution. It was a realm that transcended the knowledge of the spirit cultivator, and was also a new beginning. From that moment onwards, the profound chi that the spirit cultivator used also underwent a transformation, turning into an even more exquisite and peerless immortal chi. Tens of thousands of spirit cores fused together, forming an immortal eye below the heart. Surging immortal chi overflowed from the immortal eye, flowing through every single blood vessel and tendon in the human body. The immortal realm was indeed extraordinary. After leveling up, Su Yun carefully savored this unique realm. The feeling this realm gave him was something that no other realm had ever given him before. That feeling was as if he had transformed into a god of creation, splitting the heavens and earth apart, creating a brand new world, and also discovering a brand new world. However, the good times did not last long. Su Yun originally wanted to continue savoring the wonderful feeling that the first stage of the spirit profound immortal realm brought him, but the second clan elder of the Great Ling Long Palace, Wei Ming, sent a message to Qin Qianlong, who then passed it on to Su Yun. After Su Yun heard the news, his heart tensed up a little. Amongst the elders of the Great Ling Long Palace, Wei Ming had the highest prestige, and he was also the one who obeyed him the most. Qin Qianlong had the intention to nurture him as the palace master of the Great Ling Long Palace, and Su Yun had the same intention, but from the looks of it, Su Yun still had to personally come into contact with Wei Ming, so he instructed Qin Qianlong. Qin Qianlong was also a sensible person, and immediately revealed Su Yun's identity to Wei Ming. Wei Ming was smart and naturally knew who Su Yun was. In a side hall of the Great Ling Long Palace, Su Yun met Wei Ming. "You mean to say that the people from the God Profound sect will visit the Great Ling Long Palace in 5 days?" Su Yun frowned, and looked at Wei Ming, who was bowing to him at the door. "That's right. The messenger reported yesterday that the person who came to visit my Great Ling Long Palace is the sect leader of the God Profound sect, Xian Huang," Wei Ming said with a serious face. Xian Huang. Su Yun frowned. The God Profound sect was an immortal sect that was even stronger than the Great Ling Long Palace. Why would the master of this immortal sect want to come here? Do you know his purpose? I don't know yet, but this subordinate guesses that it is most likely related to Kuei Yang's death. Kuei Yang's death? Xian Huang and Kuei Yang are old friends, and Kuei Yang is engaged to Xian Huang's daughter, Xian Yu. Now that Palace Master Kuei Yang is dead, it is only natural for Xian Huang to come, Wei Ming said. Hearing that, Su Yun immediately understood. So the God Profound sect was here to stand up for Kuei Yang? But he had sufficient reason, and with the Immortal Court's acknowledgement, even if he was not satisfied, it would be useless unless he used force. But Su Yun believed that Xian Huang was not such an impulsive person. Thinking about it carefully, among the few big sects that supported the Peerless sect, there seemed to be the God Profound sect. From the looks of it, The relationship between the God-profound sect and the peerless sect should not be bad. If they could not take action, it would naturally be for the best. Chapter 10:17. Outside, the immortals all thought that Qin Qianlong had joined hands with the Carefree Palace to kill the palace master of the Great Ling Long Palace, Kuei Yang, and the Great Ling Long Palace naturally submitted to the Hidden Dragon Hall. Although the various elders of the Great Ling Long Palace were still there, according to the rules, they had to offer tributes to the Hidden Dragon Hall every year. Otherwise, Qin Qianlong still had the power to wipe out all the elders, and the immortal court would unconditionally support him. The person Xian Huang of the Divine Profound Sect was looking for was naturally Qin Qianlong, but facing an expert like Xian Huang, Qin Qianlong did not have the confidence to fight against him, so he could only let Su Yun, the supreme expert who had truly killed Kuei Yang, deal with him. Thus, as the Vice Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Hall, Su Yun waited for Xian Huang and the rest in the newly built main palace of the Great Ling Long Palace. This time, not all the elders of the Great Ling Long Palace had arrived, only Wei Ming was sitting at the side, while Su Yun was sitting at the other side. The chair above was empty, no one sat down, and the two of them quietly waited for Xian Huang's arrival. After an unknown period of time, a disciple of the Great Ling Long Palace hurriedly ran in, knelt down on one knee, cupped his fists and shouted, reporting to Second Elder, "The people from the Divine Profound Sect have arrived, and are waiting outside the hall. Is that so? Hurry up and let them in, don't neglect our esteemed guests," Wei Ming said. The disciple nodded and immediately left. Wei Ming looked at Su Yun, who nodded his head, and the two of them did not speak anymore. Not long after, hurried footsteps came from outside the hall. Originally, according to etiquette, the guests who were brought up had to announce themselves at the entrance of the hall, but the other party did not seem to plan to do so, and directly walked in. The sound of footsteps came over. Following that, what entered Su Yun's line of sight were a few tall and sturdy figures. All of them were dressed in uniform, looking arrogant. When they stepped in, all of their eyes were filled with an unparalleled tyranny. Su Yun had felt this kind of tyranny before in the martial imperial palace, but Shen Wu Huang's tyranny was completely different from these people's tyranny. The tyranny of the martial imperial palace came from their own strength, and their tyranny was given by their own strength. They did not think that they were invincible existences, but every piece of their flesh and blood exuded an unparalleled and powerful aura. Their strength was felt by others. Among these people, there were two familiar faces, Kuei Ci and Xian Yu. The two of them followed behind a rather handsome man. The man had a serious expression on his face, and his expression was solemn as he walked steadily toward them. Looking at the way everyone stood, one could tell that this person should be the sect leader of the Divine Mystery Sect, Xian Huang. "It was you!" Kuei Ci and Xian Yu almost recognized this person at the first sight as they exclaimed at the same time, "You bastard! Isn't he the Grand Justice of Hidden Dragon Palace? Why are you here?" Kuei Ji stared at Su Yun with a vicious look. That day, when Su Yun and Kuei Yang fought, he was watching from afar and personally saw Su Yun kill Kuei Yang. He knew that Su Yun was powerful and outstanding, and he knew that he was definitely not their match. However, he never expected that Su Yun would actually appear here. When he thought that it was this bastard who killed his father with his own hands, endless anger and pain emerged in Kuizi's heart. In order to seek justice from the Hidden Dragon Palace, the Immortal Seeking Sect, and the Carefree Palace, Kuei Yang's sons and trusted aides had long escaped from the Great Ling Long Palace. They originally wanted to seek help from the sects that had a good relationship with the Great Ling Long Palace. However, when those sects learned of this matter and knew that the other party was a few sects, they all hesitated. They had no reason to make a move. Furthermore, they might not be a match for these three immortal sections. Although they could find a reason, they had to weigh their own strength, right? Just as Kuei Si and the rest were in despair, Xian Yu stood up and asked them to follow her to the Divine Mystery Sect to seek help from Xian Huang. Coincidentally, Xian Huang and Kuei Yang had a good relationship. In addition, when Xian Yu was narrating the matter, she did not forget to add fuel to the fire, causing Xian Huang to be furious and bring a group of experts over. Originally, Xian Huang wanted to go to the Hidden Dragon Hall to seek justice from Qin Qianlong, but Qin Qianlong used some unknown excuse to send Xian Huang here. Su Yun also knew that towards a person like Xian Huang, Qin Qianlong was more or less afraid. Since Su Yun dared to take over the Great Linglong Palace, he was already prepared to deal with everyone. Although the arrival of Xian Huang and the rest gave him a lot of pressure, with the protection of the exquisite color, his spirit was perfectly protected, so he did not feel uncomfortable at all. Young Master Kuei Si, a scholar who has been away for 3 days, should be looked at in a new light. Although I was just a small guardian of Hidden Dragon Palace at the beginning, after the battle in Linglong Palace, I made meritorious deeds and was appreciated by His Honor. Therefore, he especially promoted me to the deputy head of Hidden Dragon Palace. Therefore, I'm much more powerful than before. Su Yun said indifferently, probably pretending to be very arrogant. Hearing that, Kuei Si looked at Su Yun's despicable look, and almost died from anger. You, nephew Kuei Si, don't speak first. Xian Huang, who was at the side, spoke up. His voice was deep and had a tough feeling to it. Su Yun turned his head to look at him, only to see that Xian Huang was also looking at Wei Ming and Su Yun. Wei Ming greets sect leader Xian Huang. Wei Ming stood up first, cupped his fists and bowed. The strength of the God Profound sect was much stronger than the Great Linglong Palace. Xian Huang was the sect leader of the God Profound sect, while Wei Ming was merely an elder. In terms of rank, seniority, and strength, Xian Huang was worthy of this bow. Oh? So this is the sect leader of Xian Huang? I am the Vice Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Hall, Su Yun, greets the sect leader of Xian Huang. Su Yun also stood up and cupped his fist. And Xian Huang nodded towards Wei Ming, then turned and looked at Su Yun. When did the Vice Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Hall become someone called Su Yun? This is the first time I've heard of it, but for an unfamiliar face like you to be able to become the Vice Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Hall, I believe you must be extraordinary. Sect leader Xian Huang is too kind. Su Yun laughed, but did not say anything else. Xian Huang sized up Su Yun from head to toe. His pair of resolute sword eyes slightly narrowed. Unknowingly, Su Yun felt an indescribable power that seemed to want to get close to him and enter his body. He could feel that this was definitely not his own power, nor was it someone else's power. This power was so strong and overbearing. It was terrifying. It must be Xian Huang's. Could it be that he wanted to test his own strength? Su Yun thought for a while, then chose to resist the power in the end. Activating the Imperial Battle Robe, the god power pervaded Su Yun's entire body. He, who was in the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm, was not weak. Adding Ling Long Kai and the Imperial Battle Robe, his strength could only be described as terrifying. Xian Huang seemed to feel that his power could not seep into Su Yun's body at all. He was surprised, and his eyes started to examine Su Yun again. I never thought that such an expert would appear in the Hidden Dragon Hall. It seems like Qin Qianlong has hidden his methods quite well. Xian Huang thought. I wonder why sect leader Xian Huang has come to the Great Linglong Palace today? Seeing that Xian Huang and the rest were silent, Su Yun smiled and spoke, breaking the silence. Xian Huang organized his thoughts, and continued to stare at Su Yun with his serious eyes. Xianer said solemnly, "This sovereign wishes to go to the Hidden Dragon Hall to seek justice from the Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Hall, Qin Qianlong." Seek justice? For who? Kuei Yang. So it's Kuei Yang? No wonder my hall master is here to receive sect leader Xian. If that's the case, I think sect leader Xian Huang can talk to me. Su Yun laughed. With you? Why? Because this guy killed my father with his own hands. Uncle Xian, you must avenge my father. At this moment, Kuei Ci could no longer hold it in and shouted loudly. His voice was heart-wrenching and extremely mournful. As soon as he roared, the atmosphere of the entire scene immediately became strange. Xian Huang's eyes widened slightly, staring at Su Yun, and said seriously, "You can actually kill Kuei Yang? Could it be that you already have the strength close to the profound spirit god? You're thinking too much. Back then, I was not the only one who attacked Kuei Yang. I just took advantage of it and stole the credit. The main contributors to defeating Kuei Yang were my hall master and the hall master of the Carefree Palace. It can't be said that I stole it, it was all given to me by the lords." Su Yun laughed. "Even so, you are not ordinary, because it is not easy for those few to kill Kuei Yang." Xian Huang's face darkened and said coldly, "I will not pursue this issue further, I only want to ask, do you know the relationship between Kuei Yang and me? If I'm not wrong, Kuei Yang and sect leader Xian Huang have a very close relationship. Although the two of them are not of the same gender, they are more like siblings. If you knew, would you still dare to kill him?" Xian Huang's eyes flashed with killing intent. "It was his great Ling Long palace who let us down. We were forced into a corner, so why didn't we kill him? Aren't you afraid of our revenge?" Xian Huang growled. "No." Su Yun shook his head, looked at Xian Huang and said, "Unless the God Profound sect is not afraid of the Immortal Court's revenge. Do you really think that the God Profound sect will be afraid of the Immortal Court?" Xian Huang stared coldly at Su Yun, his voice revealing endless tyranny and arrogance. "The Immortal Court is also an immortal, they are not omnipotent, they can't protect everything, they can't stop everything. If my God Profound sect wants to take action against you, it can be said to be easy. Let's not talk about whether or not the Immortal Court is afraid. Even if we are afraid of the Immortal Court, why wouldn't we dare to take action against you? He could just come up with a random excuse. Furthermore, we are not afraid of the Immortal Court at all. The Immortal Court is already extremely busy. Do you think they still have the time to care about the matters here?" As these words fell, the great hall fell silent. Although no one said anything, everyone could tell that these words were actually a threat from Xian Huang to Su Yun. Chapter 10:18. Su Yun stared at Xian Huang's face for a while. Naturally, Su Yun understood the meaning behind his words. He took a deep breath but did not look angry. The reason why Xian Huang said this was to anger Su Yun so that Su Yun would offend him and give him an excuse to attack Su Yun or even the Hidden Dragon Hall. However, Su Yun would not be fooled so easily. Sect leader Xian Huang is powerful and the Xun Xian sect is incomparably powerful. I have long heard of it. Today, after hearing what sect leader Xian Huang said, I am even more convinced. I admire you, admire you. Then, how do you plan to settle the matter of you killing my good friend Kuei Yang? Kuei Yang got what he deserved. I'm just doing what I should do. If Sect Master of Dark Brilliance wants justice, you can go to the Immortal Court first and see how the Immortal Court responds. If they think that you can come to us for revenge, we have nothing to say. Su Yun smiled. After all, do you still think that our Xun Xian sect will be afraid of the Immortal Court? I didn't say that. Su Yun revealed a smile as he shook his head. I just think that it's not a matter of whether we're afraid or not, but whether the Immortal Court will care about it or not. As long as the Immortal Court cares about it, it's enough even if they only send a few people to help us. Although Su Yun's words were tactful, there was a hidden meaning in his words. He did not care whether the Xun Xian sect was afraid of the Immortal Court or not. What he cared about was whether the Immortal Court would come. As long as the immortal court came, the hidden dragon hall would not be afraid. Why did he dare to say that? Did he believe in the strength of the immortal court? Or did he believe in the strength of the hidden dragon hall itself? Xian Huang's face turned ugly. He realized that this guy called Su Yun was simply hiding his strength. Not to mention his cultivation, just his scheming was not something that could be easily dealt with. He had heard of why the hidden dragon hall and the carefree palace would attack the great Linglong palace. It was said that it was because of a protector. Could it be this guy? Speaking of which, when did the hidden dragon hall collude with the carefree palace? And with an immortal-seeking sect? Where did this Su Yun come from? All these doubts made Xian Huang feel that it was not as simple as he thought. It's really not simple. Qin Qianlong has found a capable person. It seems that the future of Hidden Dragon Hall is limitless, Xian Huang said in a low voice. Haha, sect leader Xian Huang is being too serious. Su Yun laughed. Xian Huang did not look at Su Yun again, but his gaze landed on Wei Ming, who was at the side. He scratched his chin and thought for a while, then turned to Su Yun and said, Vice Clan Leader Su, this lord has a few words to say to Clan Elder Wei Ming alone. I wonder if it is possible? Alone? Su Yun frowned. What do you have to say that you can't just say it? I just want to ask a few questions about Brother Sunflower, and I don't want to share it with outsiders. Why? Can't I? Xian Huang said indifferently. Su Yun really wanted to say no, but if he did, Xian Huang would definitely say that he was looking down on him, and use that as an excuse to make things difficult for him. Helpless, he could only nod his head and say indifferently, Make it short, I still have something to discuss with Elder Wei Ming later. Su Yun said indifferently, then turned and walked out the door. After exiting the room, Xian Huang sent everyone else out, leaving only Xian Huang and Wei Ming behind. Seeing that, Su Yun started to worry. Although Wei Ming was the same as the other elders of the Great Linglong Palace, and had only recently announced his loyalty to him, Wei Ming was the most sincere amongst the elders. He was in charge of the most things, and knew the most things. If he leaked it and Xian Huang found out about it, the situation would be terrible. However, when everyone walked out of the palace, Xian Huang immediately waved his hand and released a light screen, directly enveloping the entire interior of the palace. All the voices and people inside could not be heard, and were completely isolated from the outside. Seeing that, Su Yun's face changed. Hey, what are you panicking for? Are you afraid that Wei Ming will say something to you? Hee, I think this guy was actually scared by my father from the start. Now that he's out of the main hall, he can't pretend anymore. Of course his expression isn't good, ha ha ha. Miss Xian Yu is right. I think this guy must be thinking about how to deal with Uncle Huang later, Kuei Ci quickly said. With that pig brain of his, he wants to deal with Lord Xian Huang? He's simply courting death. He. The few of them whispered to each other, laughing non-stop. Although Su Yun heard their words clearly, he did not care at all. What he was concerned about was what Xian Huang wanted to say to Wei Ming. In truth, no matter what Xian Huang did, Wei Ming would not betray him. After all, Wei Ming's life was still in his hands, but what he was worried about was not this, but Xian Huang's methods. The Great Linglong Palace was proficient in the Great Exquisite Technique, and Su Yun was also very interested in it. He had specially arranged for a group of Devil Cultivator-s to cultivate the Great Exquisite Technique, so that he could use it in the future. Naturally, he was also cultivating it, but he was not sure if Xian Huang knew this technique. After all, he and Kuei Yang were close friends. If he had such a method, then his own secret would be completely exposed, and once this matter was leaked out, not to mention the Immortal Court being unable to take care of it, even the powerful experts of the entire immortal world would definitely not let Su Yun and the rest go. I have to think of a way to see what's going on inside. Su Yun was secretly anxious. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. He thought of the soul-leaving body function of the imperial battle robe. This light screen could only block the physical body of the naked eye, but it could not block the soul. If he used a powerful immortal power to wrap around the soul, then no one would be able to detect it, right? Su Yun thought, and did not dare hesitate. He immediately activated the imperial battle robe, and lifted his soul up into the sky, and lost the support of the soul. His body stood there like a statue, because of the protection of the imperial battle robe. Even if he lost his body, Kuei Ci and the others beside him would not be able to sense it. Everyone thought that he was really like what Kuei Ci and Xianyu had said, and was already panicking. Seeing Su Yun like that, everyone laughed even more. As his soul rose into the air, Su Yun immediately went close to the building. This light screen was temporarily set up by Xian Huang, so it would not be too complicated. Although the immortal qi was dense, it was not enough to guard against, such as the soul, which it could not guard against, so Su Yun easily floated in. At this moment, Wei Ming and Xian Huang were standing in the center of the palace. Xian Huang stepped forward and walked to the center of the palace. He raised his hand and slowly caressed the statues, and said indifferently, "Elder Wei Ming, this shouldn't be the first time we've met, right?" Wei Ming was fortunate enough to see the true appearance of the sect leader many times, but Wei Ming is just a small character. The sect leader might not know of Wei Ming. Wei Ming hurriedly said, "That's where you're wrong. I've seen you before, and I understand you. I know what sort of person you are. As the second elder of the Dali Linglong Palace, if I don't even know who you are, wouldn't my friendship with Kuei Yang seem too fake?" Wei Ming immediately bowed, but did not say anything. "Elder Wei Ming, let me ask you, how did the Palace Lord of Kuei Yang Palace treat you?" "The Palace Lord of Kuei Yang Palace treats me with kindness as heavy as a mountain," Wei Ming said in a low voice. "How did the Great Ling Long Palace treat you?" "The Great Ling Long Palace is like Wei Ming's home, warm and considerate." "Since that's the case, then tell me honestly." Xian Huang suddenly turned around, and stared into Wei Ming's eyes with glistening eyes, and said in a deep voice, "Currently, what's the relationship between the Great Ling Long Palace and the Hidden Dragon Hall?" Wei Ming's expression instantly changed, clearly not prepared for this question from Kuei Yang. Only an ordinary alliance." Wei Ming recovered his senses, and said with a weak voice, "An ordinary alliance?" Xian Huang frowned. Ever since that incident, the Great Ling Long Palace and the Hidden Dragon Hall made an agreement not to disturb each other. Chapter 10:19. Hearing Su Yun's words, everyone present was stunned. Who was he talking to? That was Xian Huang, the sect leader of the Divine Profound Sect. As the leader of a sect, Xian Huang's position in the immortal world was definitely above Kuei Yang's. Even if Qin Qianlong saw Xian Huang, he would have to be respectful, so why did this Vice Hall Master Su Yun dare to be so arrogant and savage? Who the hell was he? Did he know who he was? Who are you talking to? Kuei Yang was immediately enraged. He clapped his hands and jumped up to shout. With Xian Huang here, he was not afraid of Su Yun. "Who am I talking to?" "Of course I'm talking to Lord Xian Huang." Su Yun snorted, and said indifferently, "Lord Xian Huang, if there's nothing else, can I arrange for a few disciples to bring you around the Great Ling Long Palace? Elder Wei Ming and I still have important matters to attend to, and cannot be delayed, so we will not accompany you any longer. Please help yourself, Lord Xian Huang." With that, Su Yun gave Wei Ming a meaningful look. Wei Ming was startled for a moment, then anxiously walked towards Su Yun, not daring to be the slightest bit slow. His words infuriated everyone. Seeing this, Xian Huang's face turned a little ugly. Although Su Yun's words and actions were very arrogant, it was not what caught Xian Huang's attention. What he truly paid attention to was Wei Ming's attitude towards Su Yun. Wei Ming was the second clan elder of the Great Linglong Palace, but he obeyed Su Yun's orders obediently. When Su Yun brought him over, he actually walked over without any hesitation, and his expression was actually filled with respect. Was it because of Qin Qianlong? No. Xian Huang had roamed the immortal world for so many years. He had a good eye for people. He could tell that the respect came from his fear towards Su Yun. Who was this guy? To actually be able to make Wei Ming have such an attitude towards him. What methods does Qin Qianlong have to actually recruit such a person? Xian Huang frowned. Hey! I say, are you kidding me? We're not here to visit. Do you really think that a mere Vice Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Hall is that amazing? If you continue to be arrogant, do you believe that my father will slap you to death with one palm? Seeing Su Yun's arrogant attitude, Xian Yu could not stand it anymore, and immediately shouted out loudly. Although she looked like a young and beautiful young lady, her voice was extremely noisy. Seeing that, Su Yun ignored Xian Yu and turned to leave. Seeing that, Wei Ming immediately followed. Seeing that Su Yun was ignoring her, Xian Yu was immediately enraged. She immediately ran in front of Su Yun and blocked his way. Don't go! You have to give us an explanation today, or you're not allowed to leave. Xian Yu shouted angrily. But Su Yun was still smiling. He did not care, nor did he look, as though he was completely ignoring her. Xian Huang growled in a low voice. Father! Pow! A light sound came out. Xian Yu's face was slightly red, and Xian Huang had already raised one of his hands. This scene shocked everyone present. Xian Yu was also stunned, and only regained her senses after a moment. She covered her face, unable to believe everything that had happened. Shut up, don't be willful anymore! Xian Huang almost roared out. Xian Yu looked at her father in a daze, and after a moment, tears welled up in her eyes. She had never seen her father treat her like this before. After a long while, she pursed her lips and ran to the side to cry. Xian Huang snorted. He turned and stared at Su Yun and said, How would Xian Yu dare to act recklessly in the Great Linglong Palace? Alright. I have disturbed you all today. I will not stay any longer. Farewell. With that said, he waved his hand, and his entire person disappeared along with Xian Yu and the rest, leaving behind Kuei Ci and the rest. After Xian Yu attacked Su Yun, Xian Huang did not stay for even a moment, and immediately left with his people, as though he was afraid that he would cause trouble if he stayed. Seeing that Xian Huang had left, Kuei Ci panicked and immediately flew out. Seeing that, Su Yun did not stop him. Very quickly, Xian Huang and the rest all left the Great Linglong Palace. Seeing them leave, Wei Ming heaved a sigh of relief, and his tensed face relaxed. Let's go, do what you need to do. I believe that Xian Huang will not come here to cause trouble for a while. Su Yun stared at the distant horizon, and said indifferently, then turned and prepared to leave. Yes. Wei Ming immediately cupped his fists, but he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he hesitated for a moment, a strange luster surfaced on his face, and after a long while, he turned and said to Su Yun, But master, that... Wei Ming wanted to say something but stopped. If you have something to say, just say it. Su Yun said indifferently. Of that. Wei Ming hesitated for a moment, then said in a low voice, Master, your actions today, I'm afraid you will offend Master Xian Huang. I've already offended him. Why do you care about today? Offended him long ago? When I killed Kuei Yang. Su Yun turned his head and stared at him coldly. Wei Ming's entire body trembled. His tongue was tied, but after a moment, he still braced himself and said, If it's like that, then what Master said today. Will you receive Master Xian Huang's revenge? I don't know if he will take revenge, but I know that if I don't chase him away, I will be in trouble. Su Yun turned his head and stared at Wei Ming and said, The great exquisite technique is a technique exclusive to the Great Linglong Palace, and from the looks of it, There are quite a few people who know this technique. Wei Ming, you must remember, anyone who uses the great exquisite technique on you, you must hide.